Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 297. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
And Connor has made his glorious return.
Triumphant.
I only missed 1 week.
Triumphant? Connor's never been triumphant. I refuse to accept that.
I want. Screw you.
Triumphant. When he fixes the toaster, maybe?
Make a damn drink.
Is anyone else's screen glitching?
No.
No.
Okay, it's just mine then. It was putting on the shared screen. It's like got a ghost effect going, and I got distracted.
All right, this is the haunted episode of Matt's computer.
There it is. We're good. I just had to get rid of Connor, so it's fine now.
Problem solved.
Oh, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
That solves a lot of problems, I find, getting rid of Connor. Yeah. It's a nice, happy experience. This is a DC Comics podcast. We get together. We talk about this week's DC Comics that we read. Coming up on this week's show, we have Detective Comics 1057, Nightwing issue 90, Batman Superman World's Finest issue 1. Matt, for some reason, caught up and is going to discuss Justice League 74. We also have Batman the Night issue 3. And I assume Matt also read Refrigerator Full of Heads issue 5.
Oh, yes, that one too.
Yeah, he didn't even tell me about that. I just assume he read that.
Yeah.
I read all of the books.
Yes. So that's what's coming up on this week's show. But as also Solicits week, we have Solicits for June to talk about. So that'll be a nice hefty chunk. Plus, there's an extra bit of news as well for later in the year. So,
a little bits of news actually.
So that's stuff to happen. You always have more news. You don't even have to tell me, okay? I just expect that you'll have more news.
Well, maybe if you did a better job looking for it.
Look, if Newsarama presented me in a coherent manner, the news, I would have it for you, but...
Joe, I'll give you that. The site is shit.
It's terrible. And I hate how every time I click on a new page, I get the same pop-up saying, would you like Games Radar's newsletter? Blah, 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 blah. Piss off! I don't want it.
I haven't said yes once.
It's like the ones that ask me if I want desktop notifications. No, there is no site in the world I want desktop notifications for. No. Stop asking me.
Never. I will go to the site when I want to visit the site. Leave me alone. Simple things. So yes, welcome to the show. This is what, 3 away from 300. We're getting up there to milestones.
Yes.
Yet not reached.
Because math.
Yes. Well, they're all. I mean, every milestone you hit's a milestone you've not reached yet. That's why it's a milestone. You can't hit the same milestone again, unless we pull a renumbering.
What if we did at 299? we pull a Marvel.
Like, I'll tell you what. Next time they renumber Detective in Action, we'll go back to number 1.
No, because what you have to do it is you have to just renumber randomly, and then you wait however long, and then you get a nice little milestone one, and that's when you go back to legacy numbering. So like 327, we'll like, okay, no, it's episode 1 again now. And then when we hit 350, come back in full force with the legacy number.
350? That's like less than 20 episodes later.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to. Yeah, I know, but
you've got to do a big one. You got to wait till like, I don't know, 500. Like so we get to like 130 something, and then all of a sudden 500.
You would think, but Marvel seem to do it every like 50 issues anyway. So
it's because Marvel are the worst. Right? That's just call it what it is. But yes, before we get into any of that business, though, we do have to look at this week's top 10 books based on the pools on comics. Oh, not Comixology. That's Freudian slip. Leah Comic Geeks is what we're looking at. So top 10 books based on the pools on that website. Because we have to look at something. We have to have a top 10 at the start of the show. Otherwise,
I'm waiting to see if Amazon have updated their publishers yet to see if their site is actually functional.
You keep me appraised of the situation. But not when I'm starting the top 10, you ignorant little shit.
Well, I'll check now before you start in case it's ready.
But you're just delaying the start of the top 10. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's not ready. Carry on.
Number 1 is Detective Comics 1057. Shocking no one, I would suggest.
Nope.
It's a little bit shocking.
Why?
Because I think if this was based off of normal sales, Tech doesn't sell that hot. So I'd have said like Nightwing would have been higher, right?
This is like week 3 or 4 are doing this. But we've made it very clear that Batman Detective always go at the top because people have got them pulled.
Fair enough.
That's just how this works. Number 2 is Amazing Spider-Man issue 92.B for Beyond.
Bay.
Yeah. Bailey.
Are they doing a Beyonce issue?
Just Beyonce has my life.
What?
That's a deep New Girl poll.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Nick Miller moments of all time.
Sorry, I don't remember the mediocre sitcoms. I'm sorry. So number 3 is Nightwing issue 90. I'm upset, Matt. He's holding it in, but I can tell I'm upset.
There is the rage is simmering.
Number 4 is The Flash 780. I suspect not as many people are actually reading that this week because it's a crossover. It's part 3 of a crossover with other books that you may not be reading because they don't pull anywhere nearly as high.
That's right. My Flash reading came in Nightwing this week, so it's fine.
Well, that was the convenient part, yes, is that just when I have to take a month or 2 off the regular Flash book, I get Wally in another book instead, so that worked out nicely. Wonder Woman 785, also part of a crossover, which you may or may not be reading, is next up on the list. That's number, 5 are we on? Yeah, these aren't numbered, it's hard to tell at times. Number 6 is Justice League 74. So DC doing very well. Like, that's like, out of the top 6 books, they've got 5 of them. So that's a very healthy DC. This is the opposite of last week, where they were barely in the top 5. So then you got Avengers 54 in number 7, X Lives of Wolverine in number 8, that's issue 5, which... After last week's shocking revelation that there was a Lives of Wolverine, a Deaths of Wolverine running concurrently that we didn't notice until they both came out the same week.
I don't see Deaths this week either, so...
I think I finished. I think issue 5 was the last issue.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though. But Catwoman 41 then slots in after that. And Batman the Night issue 3 sneaking in to that top 10. And let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is number 10. So number 11 is Batman Superman World's Finest issue 1, which makes sense because as we've pointed out on the site, the issue 1s tend to not do as well because no one's added to their pull list yet.
Yeah. Just for contrast with the current Amazon chart, which for all intents and purposes is just the Marvel and DC books because of the way they've got it.
Well, funnily enough, the way this has worked out this week is that it's just the DC books in the top 10 anyway. So
yeah, with those, they have Nightwing at 1 and Batman Superman at number 2.
Oh, okay.
And then X Lives of Wolverine at 3, which is why I think these sound plausible for being in sale order.
They sound plausible enough, yeah. I'd expect Mark Waid's new World's Finest book to rank relatively highly.
Yeah.
But hey, interesting. There was a Carnage issue 1 this week that also was in the teens, yeah.
That's the Ram V one.
Oh, is that Ram V? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
That's interesting.
How do I know?
That's immediately more interesting than it was before.
I mean, I'm still not going to get it, but had I known, I would have picked it up and looked at it at the shop.
He's co-doing the Venom book with Al Ewing, where they're like alternating issues / arcs, like they're tackling one character each. So depending on whose issue it is which writer it is.
Also new this week, Eternals: The Heretic issue 1.
It's not really new. It's Marvel are kind of borrowing the image model of kind of throwing in one shots in the middle of a book to give the regular artist a break.
Okay.
So it's just part of the main Gillen Eternals book, but just
they've also got Reckoning War: Trial of the Watcher issue 1, which is like a what if story, seemingly.
Yeah.
So
Marvel's got some wild things going on right now. I watched there's I can't think of the name right now, but there's a channel on YouTube that goes over comic arcs, and they're covering a lot of Marvel stuff right now. So while I was on the treadmill the other day, I watched the death of Doctor Strange, as they broke that down. Really super weird story, but also shockingly, like judging from how they broke it down, was seemingly a good story.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really call that headlines. They actually seemingly killed Strange by the end of that.
Yeah, if y'all want spoilers,
Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, there's they follow through, and he dies the first issue, and then it becomes a detective mystery. But the detective is a time remnant of Doctor Strange. That when he was coming up, he had heard that old Slavic story about the he was a Hellboy villain, the Unkillable, right? That put part of his soul in a needle, and then put that needle in an egg, put that egg in a duck, whatever.
Sure.
He did kind of the same thing where he took a week of his life and hid it away in case he'd ever died, so he could figure out what had happened. So now this temporal ghost comes and helps solve it, and then at the end, because there's the death of Doctor Strange, they follow through that even the Sorcerer Supreme can escape death. And at the end of the book, there is hinted at a new Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting, fairly ballsy move, given they've got a Doctor Strange movie coming.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but multiverses being what they were, and it felt like the first part of a chapter, or a first chapter of a.
If there's one thing
story.
I've learned from DC and Marvel is that despite the fact that they should synchronize with movies, they very often make really weird choices not to.
But weirdly, it again, it got me, who I'm kind of checked out of Marvel right now, just because of I put all my eggs into DC right now, or. Because
keep in mind, we're talking about the company who, at the height of like the Avengers
X-Men?
being a thing, right? Not X-Men. The height of the Avengers being a thing, where you had, I mean, we're talking around the time of like the first Avengers movie into maybe like Age of Ultron, like that period. That's when the Avengers were none of those characters. That was when it was Lady Thor, and it was Sam was Cap, and all these other which is all fine. But it's a really weird time to do that when you're breaking box office records with some of the biggest movies of all time. So I mean,
but
on the other end, you have DC trying, bless them, like to get these like Flash and Aquaman books to line up with the movies, and then all the movies just getting delayed.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny, honestly. I mean, even the end of the Batman, like after the credits, there's not like a post-credit scene, but there's like a little trailer reel for like, hey, DC stuff in 2022, and all of it's been pushed. All of it's been pushed out of the year. Well, not all of it.
But I just want to finish my thought about that. Like, it pulled me in with my interest to Doctor Strange. Just not with the movie or anything, but it seems like they're doing something different, and that if he is gonna fight, because it made it sound like. Because he said Lady Death doesn't forgive. So it almost made it sound like he's going to come up against, the Thanos, personified Lady Death on his way back. So, the movie coming out in a couple months is Multiverse of Madness. So, lots of weird things in play. But yeah, it was an interesting 5 issues, and there was 3 episodes to break them down, and I enjoyed it. It seemed like a fun romp of a comic, so something like Reckoning War.
Can't wait to not go see that Doctor Strange movie.
Me either.
Just one last thing on the numbers here is that only a comic. If you click on the comic, you actually get the number of pulls that each have. So for reference,
can we see what our sample size is?
Yeah. So for reference here, so number 1 was Detective Comics this week. That has 7,425 pulls. So
that's not nothing.
No, it's a reasonable amount. And for, just to sort of give you the top 3 here, just to give a sense, and maybe I'll give you number 10 as well, just to show you the range. Number 2, which is Amazing Spider-Man, was 7,087. So still in the 7,000, so still quite high numbers-wise. Nightwing was number 3 with 6,556. So that gives you kind of a range of what your top 3 are there in terms of then. Batman the Night was number 10. So just to sort of give you the scale here, that's at 2,238. So that gives you your top 10 there in terms of the actual numbers.
There's plenty of people that use a site for this type of service.
Yeah, I mean, I think
keep track of their polls.
It's just a matter of how many people keep it updated.
Right.
Because Comixology, there used to be like a physical Comixology, which was like a pull list website. And I don't know if it still exists, but it kind of died out.
They shut that a while ago.
That went away. So I think a lot of people were looking for something like this. So I think over time people have
gravitated towards it. Because Diamond kept
it.
trying to say that they were going to launch their pull box thing. And it was always on the verge of launching, and then DC pulled out, and then Marvel have basically pulled out.
Yes,
and now it's just
Diamond they became irrelevant, and then it was like, okay, well, I guess, but yeah,
basically.
But so if you want a website to track your pull list and like tick things off, then Leah Comics is as good as you're getting, at least right now. Anyway, I don't know of anything better. So, but that's the range, just to give you that. It's one of those things where it may actually be worth me telling you what those numbers are as we're going down that top 10 at the start of the show, just for some context and see what the scale is. But there you go. Let's go. And for the 5,891 people who bought Flash and were disappointed it was part 3 of a crossover. I apologize. So there you go. All right, there you go. Top 10 in the bag, in the can, on the written down on the paper. I'm running out of metaphors. So we have solicits. We have June 2022 solicits to work through. It's that kind of week, and we'll go through as we always do. We'll see what pops up. See if there's any interesting surprises. I don't think there's much, but we'll have a look and see what there is. If nothing else, we get to ogle some covers and go ooh and ah. And as always, I recommend you get the solicits news story up yourself. Obviously, if you're listening to this in the car or whatever, then fair enough. But if you are sitting and can look at the article yourself as well to see all the covers, I would recommend doing so. So, starting off with Batman issue 124. This is still Williamson writing this. This is the aftermath of Shadow War. So this is just before, because it's July, right?
Zdarsky.
As Batman starting. So, yeah. Backup written by G. Willow Wilson, though.
Featuring who?
It's a good question. Backup features Poison Ivy. Oh, that's why Matt asked.
Yeah, it's more on that later.
Okay, that's why Matt asked. Very good. So, very neat. I do like the main cover there. That's neat enough.
I really like all the covers, to be honest.
Because there's a big mech cover.
I love it. It's very. I don't know who that is, but it's very Stoko-esque.
Yeah, I can see the Stoko sort of detail.
So I can't imagine sitting there and drawing that.
And then there's
so much detail.
Black and white Batman cover with Batman in the rain, which is quite stylized.
Yeah, that's got to be Jock, right?
It looks
it is
Jock-esque. Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, that mech one is giving me like Christmas vibes. It almost looks like Santa's North Pole with all. And
I think that's just because it's the green and the red that are popping out as the only colors.
Because they're not actually presents, but if you told me that was a toy workshop and these were all presents sitting around, I'd believe you.
Yeah, I think it's because green and the red are the only colors that really pop out as well. So that kind of adds to that feel.
Yeah, so that's that silly green T-Rex that's getting in your brain. No, Games Radar, I do not want notifications. Oh, wait. Dark Crisis issue 1. Unsurprising, so oversized issue 107. Yeah, it's a nice cover.
Yeah, I love when these are 7 issues.
Yeah, and it's notably it's all the newer legacy characters that are on the cover as well. So you got John, Yara, Joe, current Aquaman, and the current Batman. Well, the new Batman, Tim Fox.
Oh,
so that's kind of interesting. Well, that Pariah cover's quite nice actually.
Yeah, there's a Bat Family cover too. That's
Bat Family cover.
Yep. Keep going. It's number 9.
Oh, there's a lot of covers. Oh, I like that one. See the one that's got Batman, the blue cape, and the shadows. It's the sort of painted cover. Oh, that one's really nice.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm trying to get to this Bat Family. Oh yeah, there it is. That's nice. Okay. Yeah. That looks very Redondo-esque actually, that cover.
It's because it is Redondo.
It's Redondo.
That's the signature at the bottom, Pete.
Oh, that's alright. There you go. Well, at least my eyes aren't betraying me then.
No,
I recognize Redondo.
That Batman one with the blue must be the foil variant. That's why they're really going on the blue.
Sure.
That looks like Capullo.
It's nice stuff though. But yeah, obviously Dark Crisis is the big event for the summer. Obviously,
that's the Superman one.
We'll check it out and get excited. So. No, I feel like the painted one's probably the Inhuik Lee cover because I feel like I've seen that name with that type of cover before.
No, you're right. When I went back through them, it's the Superman one that's clearly Capullo.
Yeah.
So very cool. So remind me, is this monthly or twice a month?
Monthly.
Monthly. Okay.
As far as we know.
For some reason, just in my head, I thought it might be twice a month, but
no, they haven't told us that anyway. At least not to my knowledge.
Yeah, and I know it's only one issue in this solicits, but this could be the one. That's just because it's first. It might start halfway through the month, and then
it could. Yeah. That would be a great theory if it didn't tell you the date that it was, on the 7th of June.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just like based on just my internal logic. They also announced here a miniseries, a tie-in miniseries called Dark Crisis Young Justice. So you get an issue 1 of this in June, and you got some. The Young Justice characters on the cover there. You got well, I mean, 3 of them are listed as MIA on the cover, which presumably leads to the plot. But you got Cassie there, who's presumably going to be looking for Bart and Connor and Tim. But yeah, this is McGann Fitzmartin writing with Laura Braga on art. I don't know what I think of this writer. The name's popped up before, but I don't know if I.
She did the Tim Drake stuff in Future State.
Given what else is coming up in these solicits, so I'm not surprised at that tidbit. But this is neat that they're doing like a series, just a mini series as a tie-in, as opposed to infecting books with stuff.
Yeah,
it's better. I'm still struggling to get excited for the book in general, but
like I was just complaining earlier this week that like Young Justice, those characters have been relatively MIA, like,
and now they're literally MIA.
Yeah, which I found very funny because I got to wondering what was going on with this whole Earth, War for Earth 3, and one of our Twitter friends was explaining it to me, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean that's cool now that I know what's going on with Connor, but like outside of Cassie and Tim, like we haven't seen too much of them. And Tim's been super sporadic on top of it. So Bart literally MIA. Last time we saw him was in The Flash, but he was in the future still. So the fact that they're leaning into all of that, is kind of nice. But I'll be checking this out for sure.
Yeah, I think this is cool. I mean, even if you're not interested in the event, just the idea of doing a tie-in miniseries as opposed to infecting all of the various books that everyone's reading already with tie-ins, which they might still do a little bit of, but there's nothing announced for this month, I don't think. Anyway,
yeah, you got to remember that none of these characters have books to infect.
Well, that's true, but you're saying that as if that's the logic, as if the only reason why it's a miniseries and not just infecting Young Justice is because it's not a Young Justice book. Like,
probably is.
Well, no, but they chose to focus on these characters, though. I disagree with that logic. That's so weird to me.
If there was a Young Justice book, I think it would just be in that.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. The logic here is flawed because, like, for all we know, there could be Dark Crisis, like Gotham, announced, like the following month, and it's like the back characters, and you could have just argued easily, like, why is this just not in Detective for the next few months, or why is this just not in?
If we do get that stuff, I suspect it'll end up in Urban Legends.
Very possibly. Yes.
That'd be my prediction.
I don't care. I'm glad to have Young Justice characters back because, we've gotten they're like this lost generation, and I'm only I only care that much because they're my Teen Titans.
If anything, it's more likely the logic is, okay, we want to do some tie-in stories with someone, and then they went, well, who doesn't have a book, so we can focus on some other characters, and they pick Young Justice for that reason, rather than saying, oh, we'll do Young Justice. Well, let's put it in the Young Justice book. Oh, they don't have a book. Oh, I guess we'll do a miniseries then.
Or maybe Megan Fitzmartin is like, hey, I got a Young Justice idea. Fits in with Dark Crisis.
Possibly. Basically, I'm saying Connor's.
She basically went, I've got a Tim idea. And they went, can we make it bigger?
Basically, what I'm saying is, whatever the idea was, Connor's one is the last place. It's the least likely.
I think that is objectively wrong, but sure, whatever.
Okay, what's next? I don't care.
Objectively right, I think you better say there, Connor. Next up is Black Adam issue 1. There's a new Black Adam book, written by Christopher Priest and art by Rafa Sandoval. This was announced earlier in the week. This was before the solicits came out. They announced this. This is probably obviously inspired by the fact that there's a Black Adam movie coming out.
Well, more on Black Adam when we get to Justice League.
But that did get moved. But I mean, this series may still be going when the movie comes out now in October.
I mean,
do you remember when it got moved to?
It's October, I think, if I remember right from last week.
Yeah, it didn't get pushed very much, and then they pushed up Shazam. So
it got pushed from July to late October, and Shazam got moved forward from next year. So Shazam was supposed to be next June, and now it's December because they sent it out to die with Avatar 2.
Oof. I mean, never know. Might still outperform it. the amount of people that actually care about Avatar is shockingly low.
It's not going to make more money than Shazam 2. I promise you.
I said last week, Connor, that given the choice of seeing Avatar or Shazam 2 first, I'm going Shazam.
I'm saying Avatar 2.
Shazam
no
every
question.
time.
I've seen Avatar 2 over Shazam 2, no question. It's not even a fight.
And then I also told him, Connor, this is all just the greatest hits now for people that listened last week. This is it. You're funny. You think Avatar 2 is still coming out?
I think it's going to come out, and I think people will be indifferent, and it'll be.
Joe, it's so funny. There was a
disappointment.
There was an interview with Zoe Saldana this week, and she was doing press for something else, but they were asking her about Avatar 2 because why wouldn't they? And what was interesting is part of the reason why Avatar 1 took as long as it did is because Cameron helped develop the technology to record stuff in 3D because he wanted to shoot it that way, and you know what? Obviously, a lot of movies just converted things after that point anyway, but the few that actually shot in 3D, they used the tech that Avatar used. Part of the reasons why Avatar 2 is taking so long, and I've not heard this mentioned before, but Zoe said I just threw this out there, is that you can't motion capture underwater. You can't simulate the water while you're doing motion capture. It's not done. And then she just sort of went, but Cameron figured it out. He spent years developing a way to motion capture underwater.
It makes sense. It's like that joke where they talk about, Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landing, but he's so thorough that they actually had to go to the moon to shoot it. That's Cameron.
I love the idea that part of the reason why it's taken a decade to make this movie is because, wait, there's no technology to do this thing the way I want to do it. Well, everyone stop what you're doing. I'm inventing it.
I am not disputing that the technological aspects of it will be impressive. I'm sure they will. But who cares?
No one's arguing. I'm not discussing this with you because I don't care what you think about it. So I'm excited for a new James Cameron movie. I don't give a shit what it's called. I don't give a shit what it's a sequel to. I'm just excited for a new James Cameron movie. And I'm more excited for a James Cameron movie than I am for anything else that's coming out from DC in the next couple of years.
I understand that, but it's funny to poke fun at you for it.
Sure, whatever. Poke away. I don't care. I'm getting a new James Cameron movie, and whatever.
Yeah, it only took 24 years, but you got one.
It will be 11 years. Well, actually,
you've had about 3 in your entire life, Pete.
13 now.
He has.
I'm aware of this. You don't think I'm aware of the fact that they've been less frequent since I've been alive?
It's all your fault.
Yeah. I don't know. People got annoyed at me on Twitter because I was shitting on the cinematography in Marvel movies because Batman's is so much better.
I mean, I haven't seen Batman, so I've got no opinion.
But Connor, you can
watch the trailer. You can see the trailer.
I'm not waiting on this because I'm the sole person that still likes the MCU here. But Pete's not wrong, right? But that's not why I watched the MCU movies.
I'm not arguing about quality in other aspects. I'm just talking about cinematography and the fact that they look like CW shows with better effects.
I wanted to argue just because it's Pete and I like to argue with him. I had nothing. Like I couldn't be like, oh well, the Russos. None. There's nothing. You can't. It's Matt Reeves had a design for Gotham for the way that he shot it. And it looks wonderful.
What gets me is that people tend to think that because you critique one element of something, that you're throwing every other element under the bus.
Yeah.
And say stuff like, well, people were too busy enjoying this scene to care about how it looked. I'm like, first of all,
that happens across everything on Twitter. Like with Elden Ring, there are valid complaints about the UI, I would say, and just some awkward things that
But you insulted something people care about, so they're going to get butthurt about
it. But apparently, you can't say a single bad thing about the game because it's a masterpiece. And it's like it can be a very good game and still have problems in other elements
I think
that it can overcome by its sheer goodness in other areas.
Yeah, what gets me is that it's like if you critique something like cinematography in a scene and people complain no one cares about that, which is a stupid thing to say because it's cinematography and it's a film, but it's kind of
that's like saying nobody cares about the art in a comic book.
Yeah, exactly. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe your average Joes don't think about it, but it's not like I'm saying the cinematography is bad, therefore I don't like it. It's me saying I felt this was underwhelming, and then I thought about why it's underwhelming, and one of the reasons why I arrived on it was underwhelming is because it looks so drab and bland and dull, and because the scene I was
the airport.
Yeah, it was the airport scene from Civil War in particular. I was critiquing, and it's just this really crappy location to shoot this scene, and there's nothing interesting visually going on, and it's just 2 rows of people in a dull grey car park setting, and people get upset about it. It's just I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah, I became the Malcolm Reynolds meme, where I was like, okay. Like, so, but yeah. But anyways, Christopher Priest on Black Adam.
I'm all there for it.
Yeah.
I assumed this was a mini when this was announced, but I don't see any reference to that in the solicit text.
No. So I just heard this was announced. I didn't see the creative team on it, and I'm, despite where Deathstroke ended up, and I stopped reading, I was enjoying it up to that point, and it just kind of became a diminishing returns thing. So a fresh start here with Black Adam. I'm here for it.
I guarantee you that Deathstroke omnibus reads amazingly, though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But,
I guess that's my only real concern with this, is that I did eventually fall away from Deathstroke because it was just, I don't know if it was just, it didn't read as well issue by issue, spread out, or if it was whatever else, but it did get a little obtuse in a way for its own good.
You're a little lost in the weeds in a monthly basis, I think.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see how this actually stacks up, but I'm still expecting a Christopher Priest book, for better or worse. So we'll see. Variant's quite nice. I don't know. Is that what he's made it look like in the movie? Not that I'm saying it looks like The Rock, but just the
which variant?
The more sort of painted looking ones.
Oh, that's the main cover.
Is that the main cover? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's Urban Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I was just wondering if the hood look was going to be what they're shooting for in the movie.
I mean, he's had the hood look before, right?
Yeah.
No, not Adam.
No?
Has he? No, that's a Shazam thing.
No, he's had a hood before. He had a hood.
Had a hood.
He had a hood, and all the New 52 stuff that Johns did, he had a hood.
Shit, I have to go back. I don't remember the hood. But it makes sense if he's the first, champion.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few nice variants in here, actually. No, I'm looking at them, but...
Yeah? No, yeah, I'm here for this. Like, this might be a physical, too, not just digitally pick up.
Yeah.
I think I'm running out of room. I'm going to have to sacrifice something to get more room.
The wife.
No.
The dog.
No.
The other dog.
No. I don't mean actual sacrifice to Batman. I just mean I'm going to have to get rid of some stuff in the garage.
I just assume we were doing a blood sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Next up
Last time I did that did not end up well.
Next up is Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, issue 1. This is a 4-issue mini that's starring. Isn't this the exact same title as the book that you just had?
Yes, you also missed a book.
You did.
Did I?
You missed the Flashpoint.
Oh, Flashpoint Beyond issue 5. I mean, there's nothing to this. It's issue 5 of 6.
The confusing thing about this is this was meant to be every 2 weeks, right?
That sounds right, yeah.
But then there's only one issue here. So unless there's another one buried in the solicits, which would be weird.
They've done that before, though. I wouldn't surprise me if we do find issue 6 that further down, but yeah.
Yeah, that's possible.
These covers, that Garrett's cover.
Maybe the last one got delayed.
There's a nice cover. But...
Oh, that Captain Cold one's...
Captain Cold one's good, too.
Yeah. It's nifty.
I mean, Gerard and Zdarsky, as a pair of cover artists go, that's up there.
Well, and Zdarsky's the main art. Like, everything about this tells me to stay away, but
then you see Zdarsky. You're like,
I see Zdarsky and I see Johns, but then I see... And then Jeremy Adams, who, this Flash has been decent.
All right, but back to the key thing at hand, though. Nubia's got another book, which is fine, but it's titled the exact same thing as the previous miniseries you just had. Unless I'm forgetting what that was called. But
that was just called Nubia and the Amazons.
Yeah.
Nubia and the Amazons. Okay, slightly different. I apologize, but it sounded like it was the same thing to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. 4-issue series. Stephanie Williams writing with Aletha Martinez and Mark Morales on the art. So.
Which is the exact same as the previous mini. So it's basically an ongoing book, just with the Trial of the Amazons event in the middle.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it depends. This case, I can see this more just being an aftermath of that, and then that's it. But I mean, maybe they'll do more. I don't know. The variant's nicer, though. Unless that's the main cover, because sometimes they swap them around.
There's also, I assumed it was in last month's solicits, but there's the Nubia Coronation special in between.
I think, yeah.
So this comes after that.
Vaguely familiar. I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's the JLE cover that's good. I was just checking to see, because sometimes they don't put the variant, or they don't put the regular cover first, and then I get flipped around.
That is clearly a JLE cover.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know every artist, so I can't always tell, but with that one I can tell that's that one.
I really like the Wada cover as well, which is the one after.
Mm-hmm. The Frisian-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a weird like quality, like the other Amazon in that cover.
You mean not Elektra?
Yes.
I was going to say she's got some sort of like a slutty Street Fighter thing going with a kissy face. Nubia looks great in that cover, though. I'll give you Nubia looks fantastic in that cover. That smirk and the luscious hair looks great.
Yeah.
All right. Poison Ivy issue 1. G. Willow Wilson writing with Marcio Takara on the art. It's a 6-issue miniseries. On you go, Matt. You can.
No, have you guys ever seen that tweet from Tyler the Creator? Where he goes, "Follow me now. This is all I'm going to talk about for the next week." That's how I felt when this got announced.
Well, there's a lot of covers to this one as well.
And every single cover is great.
Every single cover. I think my favorite one.
I don't like all of them, but sure.
No, the one after what is it? Number 3. I don't know who this is.
Number 4.
No, I'm not a fan.
4 of 6 is the one I like.
That's the Dan Mora one.
Yeah. Okay. The Dan Mora one's wonderful.
The Dan Mora one, and then the one right after that with she got the trowel.
Yeah.
And, that's my favorite. I don't know who this one is. I'm looking for a signature. I don't see one.
The third one, which is very Art Germ-esque, I'm not so keen on. It's a bit overly. No.
I quite like it. I really like the way the light streams in.
If you like that style, that's fine. It's not my style whatsoever.
It can work for me sometimes, but I don't know, something like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like she's modeled after someone who doesn't necessarily look like everyone, like who Ivy normally looks like. She looks kind of specifically different to me in that cover.
But yeah, so I say I might have some new phone backgrounds. So
of course.
Yeah, I added a bunch of stuff to my desktop. Rotation.
But yeah, G. Willow Wilson and Marcio Takara, who I was just praising up and down for Wonder Woman with the whole duplicates arc right before Trial of the Amazons. So this is all coming up for me. If this is as good as her Wilson's Wonder Woman stuff that I enjoyed, then we're good to go.
I think we have the benefit of this as well, with it being a 6-issue mini, whereas I think Wilson's stuff, it kind of lost a bit of steam towards the end, and it felt like maybe there wasn't a long-term plan necessarily, whereas here it's like, hey, it's just a 6-issue mini.
I don't think that's
a story.
I don't think that's a sign though of her on long-term books though, because she did miss Marvel for ages, and by all accounts,
I mean specifically on that one, but
yeah. So I think she can do long-form books. It's just that one was wasn't planned right, or was.
Yeah, I don't know if editorial kind of screwed things around a bit, maybe.
Then we got a special. So it is a 5-week month in May. So there's some 5th week things here. So we have DC Pride 2022 issue 1. This is a $10 100-page full of shorts. We got Devin Grayson, Stephanie Williams, Travis G. Moore, Alyssa Wong, and others writing. So we don't even have all the writers yet for this one, but you can expect some more. We also have art by Nick Robles, Brittany Williams, Evan Cage, W. Scott Forbes, and others. So still more to be announced, but I will say I like the cover because they're doing obviously the Pride colors, but it's like so I really like the green ones, the Green Lantern character. To the point where you could have almost made this just all like different lanterns, and that'd be the cover.
You could have done, but that would be for a Green Lantern Pride special.
Yes, I know, but yeah.
But I do like this because it fits each of the characters in the color spectrum right there. Like it matches their look. You could say that the orange with Tim's a bit of a stretch, but.
It's kind of reddish, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a reddish orange, but no, they all look like they fit. But yeah, it's a really cool cover.
Yeah. No, it's neat. So
I think just essentially it says there's 13 stories, and something interesting to me is it says a multiversity teen justice kickoff story spotlighting Kid Quick and written by the miniseries team Danny Law and Ivan Cohen, who weren't listed in the writers and artists at the top.
there you go.
I don't remember that book.
It's coming up later.
It's still to come. Okay.
It's still coming up later. I had a quick glance earlier. I noticed that.
Also, Jen Bartel variant. I'm in.
One of my favorite couples.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got some of the young adult graphic novels and stuff.
Were these not already out, or
they
just
reprintings? I assume they were hardcovers before, and this is the paperback printings.
Yeah. Well, so I'll just list them quickly. I Am Not Starfire by Mariko Tamaki. Poison Ivy Thorns by Cody Keplinger. Then you have The Low Woods, of course, which is one of the Black Label
just
horror books.
For context, we carry on. This is the Pride backlist. That's why these are being spotlighted.
Gotcha.
Ah, okay.
That makes sense.
You Brought Me the Ocean by Alex Sanchez. I don't even remember that one, but is that new?
It's not a superhero one, I don't think. It's just a...
No,
I mean, it might be, but it's not part of the...
It's Aqualad. Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah, but they call him Jake instead of Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah.
They did not market that one very well then, compared to the rest.
Extra Stage Left, The Snagglepuss Chronicles by Mark Russell.
Yep.
That's the thing. Suicide Squad Bad Blood. This is Tom Taylor's whole story, 11 issues. So yeah. And then there's actually another special coming out, and this is by Megan Fitzmartin, following up on the Urban Legends stuff.
It's actually just a reprint of the Urban Legends stuff.
Oh, is that just a reprint? Oh, okay.
It's a reprint with an extra story in it.
All right, well, in that case, I'll just ignore it when it comes out. I assumed it was a new follow-up to it, but fair enough. Yeah, so this is a DC Pride Tim Drake special, but as Cora just pointed out, it is mostly a reprint of the Urban Legends stories.
It says it does it reprints that, and then it has a brand new story that sees Tim teaming up with his former Young Justice teammates and the Batgirls, beginning Tim Drake's 2022 path. So I assume we'll get more.
That's kind of annoying because that sounds like it may be a reasonably worthwhile story, but it's only going to be at most half the book,
if that. Because those issues in Urban Legends, I think they were solid like 15 pages, maybe
between 10 and 15. They weren't the longer ones; they weren't the full size ones, but they were.
Yeah.
10, maybe. I'd guess 12 pages if I was going to put a number on it, but
right. But it's a 60-page book. There's 3 of those to collect from Urban Legends.
So assuming that's like 36 pages of that,
you're maybe getting a 20-page story.
Yeah.
Right.
I suppose to be fair to it, $6 for 64 pages is actually reasonable. You know, because if that was 64 new pages, it would cost more than that.
It's good value if you didn't read it in Urban Legends.
So they're kind of splitting the difference in that if you did read it, it's not as expensive as a 64-page book normally would be, but it's still much more expensive than a regular-sized comic. So, tackle that how you wish, everyone. Multiversity Teen Justice issue 1. This was obviously referenced in that Pride special a little bit earlier. This is issue 1 of 6. This is Ivan Cohen and Danny Lohr writing with Marco Falia on the art. So, yeah. So this is Kid Quick. This is Kid Quick, the Future State Flash. And our fellow heroes Supergirl, Robin, Aquagirl, Clarion, and the Witch Girl, and Troy take center stage in a miniseries rocking Earth 11 to its core. So that's your team.
I love that Donna Troy just becomes Troy on this Earth, but like still doesn't get a good name. Just their name.
Just Troy. Yeah.
I thought Troy's fine name, but Troy on its own sounds a bit, because Troy on its own is a bit like Drake. It's just like, oh, he's just Drake.
It's
Troy already has its own connotations with the city of Troy,
and
right?
it fits. You know, if they're indestructible, that makes sense, right? Just don't accept gifts.
It's still shit on its own, though. I think. I don't think you want to just become Troy as a superhero.
I just think it's very funny. You know that it's Donna Troy always like we can't find her a non-Wonder Girl good name. You know, just her name is what she goes by. But
it's because Wonder Woman's still Wonder Woman, so she can't go up to women, so she has to. I don't know. Just do a Nightwing thing. Just be like Wonderbird or something. I don't know.
Something, yeah,
I
something.
think what we're establishing here is they need to do the Captain Marvel route of giving Wonder Woman a promotion.
Yeah.
To something else, so that then Donna Troy can become Wonder Woman. Can all move up a spot.
Wonder Woman could become Wonder.
But then
Wife.
Cassie is just Cassie, and we can't do that.
Shh. Don't worry about
that. Anyways, no, this is exciting. I mean, I'm here for teenage superhero stuff. Like that's my demo. So
I really like the Stephanie Hans variant as well. It's the Robin.
Oh, there's a Stephen Byrne variant.
Yeah, it's also pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, that Robin cover's actually. There's a few nice covers here actually for this one.
Yeah,
I like pretty much all of them except the main one, which is the second image on Newsarama.
Yeah,
which I think is pretty obvious. But...
Well, you can tell this one easily. Look, it's got the logo and stuff on. Usually, if anything's going to have that, it'll be the main cover.
Yeah.
So anyone else getting what's her name? Emmy vibes from this Robin? Like,
oh, I could kind of see it.
Just the smirk here, putting up the hair with the batarang.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, but
I can see that.
So moving on, we got the Flash, Fastest Man Alive issue 3. This is the one that's based in the movie universe, I think.
Yep.
Yep. So.
Yep.
Maybe an easy skip.
The one that we all care about, right?
Oh yes, we all care deeply about that Flash movie. Yeah, can't wait. The one that's now going to come out 9 years after Ezra Miller was cast in the role. Point that again.
Objectively funny.
Yeah. Aquaman the Flash, Void Song, issue 1. This is a Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly story, art by Vasco Georgiev, maybe?
Yeah. Georgiev.
Yeah. There you go.
I only know that because that's the same last name as a hockey goalie. So
very
used
good.
To hearing
that's very Eastern European slash.
So
Georgiev.
This is a miniseries, but notably, it's not Black Label, but it's kind of been presented like one in the sense that it's 3 issues that are oversized. It's the Prestige 3-issue miniseries.
Yeah, I think this is the one. I think we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. That was announced explicitly to tie in with the upcoming Flash and Aquaman movies that both I think got pushed.
Yeah, they're both next year now. Yeah, so this will be long done by the time either of those movies come out.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a similar situation to happen with Shazam, where even though they've solicited this now, they actually push it.
Yeah, they might. Yeah.
Man, it's just funny because at the beginning of the show, Pete was talking about how much DC tries, and this solicit just shows that they are trying.
They're trying.
They're trying so hard, bless them.
Yeah,
it's just not working out for them.
Sadly, the creative team's not exactly thrilling me with excitement, but that's what it is.
They're maybe not the most exciting, but Lansing and Kelly often turn out really solid stories.
Yeah. Apparently, they're tackling Captain America over at Marvel because one of them was tweeting from Disneyland, and they went and saw the Marvel or the Avengers campus. And so when they were there, they went and took their picture with Captain America, and they said something about working for the company that writes the stories. And said they have something with Cap in mind, to Cap, which I thought was a fun story. But that would, I would like to read Cap.
They're not names that, generally speaking, get me excited for anything. But I'd say it's like 8 times out of 10, I enjoy whatever I read from them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm quite that high on the number. It's probably more like 50-50 for me. But
like enjoy, not love, but just like, no, that was enjoyable. I'd go, yeah, I'd read it. It was worthwhile.
They did a Birds story, right? And they've done some.
They had some Green Arrow issues way back.
Yeah,
some
Nightwing issues as well, I believe.
That's right.
Between
they're not terrible. But they're not exciting. Yeah. There's nothing exciting about those names, at least right now. They can always earn excitement. People get better, people improve their craft. So this is a thing. But Earth Prime 5, The Flash. This is TV.
It's a TV show.
Yeah. So moving on. Earth Prime crossover issue 6. Moving on. DC versus Vampires Killers issue 1. This is a one-shot. Written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Mike Bowden.
Didn't we have a one-shot announced for this last month as well?
That sounds familiar. I feel like we've done this conversation before, yeah. So this is... So maybe it's just a series of one-shots they're doing alongside the...
Well, this one's set after the book. I know that.
Yeah, you got Harley on the cover here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, I'm fine with them expanding it a little bit. I mean, don't go nuts, but
hey, I'm okay with Rosenberg writing monsters, so has yet to let me down.
Yeah, I mean, I've not had a bad issue of vampires yet. Like, it's been fun consistently, so I find it hard to complain. Milestone in History issue 1. This is your other. Well, this is actually not. This isn't.
No.
No.
This seems like good.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I was about to say this is another 5th week thing, but what never occurred to me was when that last 5th week, because that was actually the 5th week of the previous month. So because we're doing June solicits,
right.
So this is middle of the month, but this is a 96-page $10 one shot. Obviously dealing with Milestone. We've got a big list of creators here: Reginald Hudlin, Pat Charles, Tananarive.
Tananarive?
Yeah, there was an extra syllable in there I missed. Apologies if I'm butchering that. Tananarive Do.
Tananarive.
Karen Parsons, Alice Randall, Turi, and others, with art by Ray Anthony 8, Jamal Eagle, Arvell Jones, Dominique Domo Stanton, Ron Wilson, and more. So much like the Pride special, this is another big special with a lot of stories dealing with the Milestone universe.
Seems like it's the history of, which is, I know next to nothing about Milestone.
It's the history of that they're selling on the shocking final page that points to the history, points to the future of the Milestone universe. But yes, everyone wants to buy a $10 96-page book for the final page. I don't know, feels a little bit cheap to me.
I mean, I think if you're invested in the Milestone universe,
you're gonna pick it up anyways.
Yeah, like if you're invested in the Milestone universe and you've got these batches of miniseries that it's been kind of coming out in, I don't know if having one expensive one shot when a lot of those books aren't currently running. There's a couple of them because they're coming up next in the solicits, but I feel like if you're into Milestone, this probably is a tantalizing issue. I expect.
I don't dispute that. I just feel like the selling it on the final page reveal in a book that's $10 feels a little bit slimy to me.
This is the Milestone equivalent of your Rebirth one shot or something like that. I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1, but it's
I agree in terms of the concept of the content of the book overall, but again, it's just explicitly selling the future on one page. Kind of feels a little bit off to me.
It's just marketing jargon, to be honest.
It is, and that's what I dislike.
Yeah, so sticking with Milestone, you got Blood Syndicate Season 1, Issue 2, and then the hardcover for Icon and Rocket Season 1 is in the solicits there. Then you got Duo Issue 2, this is the one Greg Pak's writing, so that's also part of Milestone, so there you go. And then we move on to Batman's Mystery Casebook, which is...
Sounds like a fun kids thing.
Yeah, so it's got a really young, cartoony art style.
I mean, Charlie Fish does just the kids stuff exclusively, right?
I think now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the artist, but I'll take your word for it. Christopher Uminga is the artist in particular. You got My Buddy Killer Croc. Again, another young kids graphic novel. And then they're doing a reprint of all of Jeff Johns' Earth 1 Batman books in one big softcover. So you got all 3 volumes in one big book. Yeah.
Do I need to read Volume 3? I have not read it.
I haven't read Volume 3 actually, so I don't know.
It's fine.
What's the story, Connor?
I'll be honest, I don't even remember. I remember reading it and being like, it was fine. But I couldn't tell you much about Volume 2 either.
Volume 2 was Two-Face.
I don't think I read Volume 2 yet. I think I've only read the first one.
Volume 2 does some interesting things with Two-Face and the whole year 1 relationship with Gordon, Bruce / Batman, and
I know I've read them
Harvey.
all. I remember parts of the first one, and even that's probably only because I reread it more recently compared to other ones. But honestly, I don't think I could massively recommend this book overall.
I'd recommend it more than Superman Earth 1, if that's any.
I mean, if it's a choice between the two and you have to buy one, yes, but...
I like the first volume.
Yeah.
The first volume is pretty good.
$40 though for this. I don't think.
Yeah, but I'd recommend it more than most of the Earth One stuff I've read, because I read Teen Titans Earth One, and I'd recommend Batman
Teen Titans
over
Earth One turned me off from Earth One.
I'd recommend Wonder Woman Earth One, the Grant Morrison and
that one's good.
Cat stuff. That's good.
It was so weird though, because it was Jeff Lemire who did Teen Titans, right? So it's not like it was some.
No, it was a Teen Titans story, but it was just so off of what Teen Titans usually is, and it didn't feel like Lemire. Like it was kind of missing that Lemire charm. So
I think it was almost a case of Lemire. You have to make it really different to every Teen Titans, so he just kind of did stuff for different sake, and ultimately just didn't have the heart that you want it to have. Superman 78 graphic, well, the collection, I should say, the trade. It's coming out as
that.
Yeah, and then Batman Volume 6 Abyss. It makes sense they didn't change the volume numbering for this, because it turns out Williamson's run's not a run, it's just the arc.
Arc. Well, and what's really weird about this is you've got the Abyss arc and this 124, which was the issue solicited this month, which is after the crossover.
Yeah.
So you've got to read most of this book, stop and go and read the crossover trade when that ever comes out, and then come back and finish this one.
Well, I mean, I assume that 124 issue, while it is billed as an aftermath to the crossover, is probably the reason why it's in this trade and not just in the crossover trade, is probably because it does do some general stuff that sets up where Batman is for the status quo for when Volume 7, or if they renumber it to Volume 1 when Zdarsky starts his run, and whatever.
It depends how long Zdarsky stays on it, right? Although I'm hoping for a while, because I'm enjoying pretty much everything I read from him right now.
Yeah. Action Comics 1044. What's notable about this is that it seems that the Warworld saga is going to include some Metropolis stuff down the line here. So
I think it's interesting. It says to me, it says then in a world without Clark Kent. So I'm assuming that's the backup.
That's the backup with the Dave Lappin art, but still think it's written by Johnson. So I mean, it's still compared to the other backups, it is more tied into Warworld than they have been.
It feels like we'll probably start reading the backups for this issue as opposed to all the other ones that we just haven't been.
I mean, that cover with Superman and the chain version of his outfit does look like it's in a city though, and it's got
I'm assuming that's the variant.
A really nice cover. Well, it's a variant, yeah, but
so I mean that's kind of irrelevant to what's actually happening in the book, right?
Well, not always. Not always. It's possible. We got Aquaman issue 5. Yeah.
Manta is on their side, apparently, I guess.
Yes, they're all crossing their tridents together.
Crossing tridents.
Yeah. That's some sort of euphemism, to be honest.
It is.
It does, yeah.
They're all playing with each other's tridents. Batgirls issue 7.
Guest artist, because Corona, I assume, needs a break.
Probably, yeah, because he's been on all issues up until this point. So Robbie Rodriguez is doing the art for this issue. So
that variant cover is a little bit too anime for my taste, but it does crack me up.
The one with the white background is nice though.
I kind of love all of them.
The third cover.
Yeah.
The second one is very chibi, but I kind of love it anyway.
Ace hugging Damien, like Scooby Doo.
They've had one of those covers every month though, so that's not a surprise to have the.
I like Babs covering up Bitewing's eyes whenever the film's going on.
I mean, yeah, the whole Bat family watching a movie together. Notably except Bruce, though, admittedly, but that's just par for the course.
Who gives a shit about Bruce?
Bruce can't go to the movies because, like me, he gets irritated by stupid people.
I think he gets PTSD.
Or that. You know what, Connor? That's a lot better. Damn it, it's right there.
Nah.
I really thought that's where you were going with it at first as well.
No.
We got Batman Beyond Neo Year issue 3. I forgot this existed, but there it is. So that's cool. Batman Beyond the White Knight issue 4. So that's running along as well. Batman Fortress issue 2. This is the Gary Whitta book that we spoke about from last Solicits. So we'll see how that is.
With a great cover.
Oh yeah, the cover's gorgeous. Yeah. It's just that glowing orange with the otherwise monotone or monochrome kind of look to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. I think that's the variant cover, but I love it.
Yeah, making variants better. The fills.
How dare they?
Yeah. I mean, it's not foolish. It's like it makes people buy extra covers.
That's exactly why they do it. Yeah.
But like it's just it's weird to be the regular artist and know that they're paying someone who does better covers than you.
I would say your saving grace as a regular artist is you're probably doing the regular cover because you're the interior artist. It's your book. You're getting all that money for every page. They hired you to do the book. Whereas whoever's doing the cover, chances are they're just a lot of the time they're just cover artists and they're just doing covers that month.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, you got Batman Killing Time issue 4. That's the Tom King Batman mini that's ongoing. We just had issue 1 a couple of weeks ago. That it was fairly entertaining. So yeah,
I like the variant where Batman's punching a tiger. Because unless you're Batman, you only get to do that once.
It's not like it's just one tiger either. He's taking on 3 tigers.
But he's got a uppercut going like he's playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Next up, Batman the Night issue 6, which is 6 of 10. Was this always 10 issues?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why the pacing, which I thought the same thing too, Pete, till this week when I checked the numbering. I was like, oh, this is why the pacing feels weird for a. I thought it was 6 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always been 10.
Okay, fair enough. Batman Urban Legends issue 16. Got Katana on the cover there with Mariko Molly and Shiva. Is that interesting?
Seems like it. And then not Red Hood. Like I don't know who this guy is.
I assume we were talking about last issue because this is a continuation of the new Birds of Prey book. Well, not book, but story that we were talking about last time.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. They got Batman Catwoman issue 12, so that's finally wrapping up.
And Tom King's finally doing a Bat-Cat wedding.
The cover would certainly imply as much, yeah.
See if it goes through it this time.
We'll see. Well, I mean, they did get married at some point because in the story, in the future, they were married. They have been married.
Okay, so he does go through with it then.
Yeah. So there you go. Batman Superman World's Finest issue 4. Obviously, we'll talk about issue 1 later, but we got some Hal Jordan Green Lantern in this cover.
That cover, man. I feel this is more as Hush, where they're just like, give me things to draw.
Mora can do no wrong.
Yeah.
The Freddie Williams Super 90s Superman cover in the second one as well. I'm for it.
Batman with massive tree trunk thighs.
Yeah. Although there's also
that dude squatting cars.
There is a Rosmo cover, so don't avert your eyes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though, that I feel the Rosmo art fits Bizarro.
Okay. There's also a Catwoman and Lois Lane cover as well.
There's a lot of Catwoman variants recently. There was one on the one of the other Bat books. I think it was Killing Time had a Catwoman variant as well.
I assume in this case they may actually be in the story in some. The idea that it's Catwoman and Lois is because it's the two kind of love interests.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Appear,
it's a Derek Chew cover as well. Those tend to be pretty nice.
Catwoman issue 44 coming out. As it has done, even though I've fallen off the book, the covers have been generally...
All 3 of those covers are just fantastic.
Yeah, the one on the motorbike is probably my favorite.
I think that's the main cover.
Yeah.
It's the red and Harley really pops because it's got a really cool color palette otherwise.
Yeah.
So really nice. Dark Knights of Steel issue 7, Tom Taylor's book, continuing on.
Batman is riding a dragon.
That is true.
And he's literally a white knight.
It is, but it's Dan Mora drawing Batman, drawing a dragon. How can you not want this?
As we established in the last issue, Batman is now going to be a better Superman than Superman, and that's...
Shut up.
And how else does he achieve that except by riding dragons?
Exactly. Deathstroke Inc. issue 10.
Notable on this, new writer.
Oh yeah, prison writing.
Huh?
Williamson too much to do. That's the thing. Williamson has to go and focus on
Dexter Soy on art, which I think is new as well. And also, this is as I said, this is Deathstroke Year 1.
Oh my god, I've got a sore hand just looking at that variant cover with all the detail.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
How much?
That's
a lot of work. Yeah, that's a lot of drawing.
That poor artist hand. That is how you give yourself carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
There's a bear playing an accordion in there.
Next up, Detective Comics 1061, Mariko Tamaki with Nadia Shamus on the art. Has it been the same co-writer on each issue of this?
Yeah.
Of this one.
Since it started in the post-Tower world, same co-writer.
Interesting. I wonder if this is like Nadia Shamus has been sort of, groomed and trained to take over after Tamaki leaves.
Yeah, like Tynan was.
Yeah.
I have a graphic novel from her pre-ordered that actually came out this past week called Squire. It's like a youngish adult urban fantasy kind of thing, but it looks kind of cool.
Very Connor.
Yeah, exactly. But my copy is delayed by like 3 weeks because of printing delays. So, but my whole Twitter feed is going up mad about it and saying it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to getting that.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm curious to see how this post-Tower batch issues turns out with the co-writer. Because obviously I like Tamaki a lot, so I'm curious to see what the...
I thought it was a little weird with this solicit calling it like Mommy Talia.
Yeah, that was a bit strange, but we'll see how that goes.
But whatever, yeah.
Art by Ivan Reese and Danny Mickey.
It's the same as we've had for the last year, I think.
Yeah. I like that Riddler cover well enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, nice. And there's a bit Hermo cover, which, you know what to expect with that. Fables 152, so that's back and still going strong, as it is. Future State Gotham issue 14, so that's still going.
I'm shocked that's still going, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That did feel like one that, and it probably will still not last very long. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it gets to like maybe 18 or something like that.
Oh, there's a weird thing in the Newsarama article here. Or if you scroll through those covers, you'll see a familiar one.
Oh yeah, that's one of the Batgirls cover.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a glitch. Oh, yeah. Harley Quinn issue 16, Connor's favourite book with some Rosmo.
Yeah. How is it still Rosmo? God damn it.
Look at Harley's eyes on that cover.
Which Harley?
Oh, the one in the jester outfit.
Which I assume is the fake Harley, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but those big white ovals that are supposed to be eyes. Oh, that's funny. I Am Batman issue 10, with your Jace / Tim Batman. And then you got Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes issue 4, which I know Matt will be reporting on.
Matt claims now that he won't, but he's also just caught up on Justice League, so he will.
I might have already read the first issue.
Monkey Prince issue 5, so that's still chugging along nicely. Naomi season 2. That cover's
great.
Yeah, Naomi season 2 issue 4. So that's going. Oh, things don't look good for her mechanic friend.
Is it me or is it just like a fairly messy cover? I don't know. Maybe it is just me, but there's something about the separation of that figure, the mechanic friend, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but I think that's what they're going for. It's like a chaotic image.
Yeah.
Nightwing issue 83. Oh, that's a cover.
93.
93, yes.
Yeah.
That's a cover.
Redondo can do no wrong.
Nope.
I mean, the Jamal Campbell cover is also nice because they usually are, but
this is one of the rare exceptions of where the variants just do not stack up to the main covers.
No, the main cover's beautiful.
2022, and Nightwing's my favorite book right now.
Do you know what?
And I'm just very happy.
Yeah, it's the yellow and Batgirl's cape just really gives it. It's like a flag. It looks like a flag. It
matches
almost.
the sunshine, right?
Yeah. Just so obviously I wasn't here last week with the Superman Son of Kal-El, which was the second part of the Nightwing crossover. Look, Superman Son of Kal-El is a fine book, but those 2 issues of Nightwing and then that were clearly the best 2 issues that book's had. And I don't, because obviously Tom Taylor's on both books. Maybe it's Redondo that's missing. It's just missing that spot. Because Redondo did that issue, and all of a sudden, it's goddamn phenomenal.
I wouldn't say phenomenal, but they're good.
It was easily the best issue of that series, though.
It was it's just the inclusion of Dick. There's this sort of heart that comes along with Dick.
It does help, yeah.
That just makes it shine.
It's all about the inclusion of Dick.
If you want something to be better, just shove Dick in it, and it'll be better immediately.
It's a fact of science.
I'm sorry I said anything.
Oh dear. Robin issue 15.
Not looking good for the family Al Ghul.
There's a dead Al Ghul. We're back to the Lazarus Island. Flatline's still in it.
Mm-hmm.
Damien's brooding. Things are normal.
I like that cover actually. The one that's just the like the knife in the family photo.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just the idea that there's a family photo with Batman in his bat suit, Robin in his Robin suit, and Tally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the main cover as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rogues issue 4, the book that I'm sure we're all excited for because it's such a fantastic idea.
Starts soon, right?
It starts soon,
so.
yeah. It must be. Well, this is issue 4. This is the final issue being solicited, so it must be starting next month. Yeah. Or this month even.
This month, yeah.
So, not really looking forward to that. The covers have all been great as well. So, pretty cool.
Oh my god, that cover! He's wearing the dynamite diamond ring, Pete.
That beautiful diamond ring, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? 116, Suicide Squad Blaze issue 3, Superman Son of Kal-El issue 12.
Which I'll just throw in my extra piece of news here.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kian Tormey, who is the regular artist on Son of Kal-El, has been made a DC exclusive this week.
Oh, nice.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, which is always nice because he's solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sad by that news by any means. Task Force Z issue 9. So still doesn't say final issue. Oh, it says 9 of 12 though.
It's a 12-issue series. Also,
that was not always a 12-issue series.
Yeah,
that was an ongoing to start with.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
No, because I remember even saying when it started, it's weird that this has been billed as an ongoing. So at some point that is shifted to 12-issue minis, which honestly is fine. I think it's fine. I don't think it needs to go forever. But
do you think it changed into being a miniseries, or was it more they forgot to kind of include that information at some point?
I don't know if it changed. Yeah, it may just be publicly they never announced it was a 12-issue series until whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like to think that they're starting to write things like this in chunks. So we'll get 12, and then Rosenberg will go do something for a minute, and then come back to Task Force Z.
To a second season.
Yeah, that's how I think a lot of the stuff's going now.
Yeah,
it is. Also, obviously, I'm not reading this book, so that I haven't got like a strong opinion. But that the solicit text starts with "Are we the baddies?" in italics, which means I'm assuming they are aware that it's a quote. I'm assuming they're quoting that Michelin Webb look sketch.
I suspect so, yeah.
Which, I mean, automatically, I like this book more than I did.
I mean, the phrasing is exactly that line, so I think it is. It's just, it's not like it just says, "Are we the bad guys?" It's not, "Are we the baddies?"
Yeah.
So
I love that sketch.
The Flash 783.
It's a Dark Crisis tie-in.
Also is
3-issue tie-in in the main book. Look at that.
Shut up! I don't care.
Oh, now he doesn't care.
I got to fight Connor for a solid 5 minutes. It's irrelevant now. Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with it. Whatever. Yeah. But it's nice that Wally and Wallace get to
go and search for Barry Allen.
Yeah, team up a bit. Well, to be fair, this one actually does make a lot of sense that Barry's went missing through all this like Infinite Frontier stuff that's been going on. It does make sense that the people who eventually say we have to go look for him are the other Flash characters, so there is some logic to this at least.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And unlike the crossover that it's currently tied into, I will be reading Dark Crisis, so I will be invested in what's going on. So also, I get the impression as well that this one might read relatively well, even if you're not reading Dark Crisis, just because it's focusing on like a single plot that it's doing on its own.
It's possible.
So.
I'll have to wait and see.
Joker issue 15 was the final issue. Which we knew for a long time because he said ages ago that's when it was wrapping up.
Known since like October or something like that.
So that is cool. It's got a Killing Joke looking variant as well. Although it's notably it's a smartphone that he's holding and not a camera, which is a nice update. Nice touch.
That's clever.
Jurassic League issue 2
with the absolute wrong creative team labeled in the solicits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also, the 9 of 12.
It says 9 of 12, which is definitely wrong.
Yeah, they definitely accidentally copied the text for Nice House on the Lake here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's actually 2 of 6 or 7, whatever it was.
I think it was, yeah.
So, okay. And then Sandman...
Bizarro Saw. Can we talk about Bizarro Saw?
Bizarro Saw.
I mean, I was going to move on swiftly, but sure. Still about Bizarro Saw if you want.
There's the variant on this one is a dinosaur, like a fossil dig.
Yeah, I like that one more, actually.
Yeah, it's so good.
That is good.
Yeah, it's basically just fossils, but there's like a red cape around one and like a lasso on another one.
And there's a trident.
Yeah.
Batarangs.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's good stuff. Sandman Universe Nightmare Country issue 3, so that's still going on.
The exciting thing about that one for me is Sorrentino's the guest artist this time.
Yeah, and this is the tiny book. It's got a creepy cover with a bit of steak.
I don't like that cover.
Being fed to an eye, which is also a mouse.
I love it. It's terrifying. You
know how Connor feels about needle stuff? That's how I feel about eye stuff. I don't like seeing anything when eyes are involved. So that just...
There's no eyeball there.
No, I know, but just the whole area. I'm just...
I'm assuming this is the smiling man that is referenced in the solicit, because he smiles from his eyes as well.
I mean, on the upside, Matt, at least yours doesn't get in the way of stuff that actually is part of life.
No, just my eye doctor yelling at me when they have to do the eye puff test because I keep blinking because my reaction, because I can't not.
Mine takes like 4 tries. Important.
Huh?
Mine doesn't get in the way of anything that's important.
Oh yeah, just a vaccination for a pandemic that's ongoing.
I can wear a mask. I still wear a mask, unlike pretty much everyone else.
Before you know it, Connor's gonna be taking his big rig to Canada.
Honestly, it's been weird this week at work. Like Monday just gone is they finally lifted the fact that we don't have to wear masks. You can choose to, but obviously most people stopped. But it's weird because there are some people whose face I've worked with for over a year, and I've only just seen their full face for the first time. Because this is the first time since I started that we didn't have to wear a mask.
And they're all ugly. You're so shocked how ugly they are.
Yeah.
Right. The Swamp Thing issue 14 of 16, of course, now.
So excited to have this back.
Yeah. So obviously,
Green Lantern, the Swamp Thing cover. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just about to come back this month, I think, or next month maybe. But
next month.
Yeah, so that's good stuff. Green Lantern tease is interesting, and we got Wonder Woman 788 with our usual team.
Hey, Lupacino art.
Back to the Psycho stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'll be happy to have that book back to its normal form.
Interesting as well. It's bringing back the Adventure of Young Diana stuff at the back, because that was finished for a while.
But they were doing the Trial of the Amazons build up back then.
Yeah, I guess it takes a break. They've got time to do a sequel story, so
yeah,
whatever. Wonder Woman Evolution issue 8, so that's still going on. And then we're on to just the trades and collections after that.
That's the final issue of Evolution, by the way.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay.
So Volume 2 of the No Man's Land Omnibus, which I forgot they did a Volume 1 to be honest, but that's cool that you can get it all in a couple of big books. Because the big thick trades they put out, it's like 4 volumes of like 500 pages each, so it makes sense. That's
hefty, aren't they?
Yeah, so it makes sense that's 2 omnibus size. What's interesting though, I don't know if the first omnibus included it, but the stuff that leads into No Man's Land, like Cataclysm, which is the actual earthquake, I would say that plus Road to No Man's Land, which also isn't included, because if you're reading the thick trades, you have 2 thick Road to No Man's Land trades and then 4 No Man's Land trades. So I don't know what was included in the first omnibus, but I would hope that you get some of that.
I would say, given that this is just over 1,000 pages for Volume 2, probably those weren't included.
So I would say I hope they do a Road to No Man's Land omnibus then.
I was going to say, it's possible there was a Road to No Man's Land omnibus.
Yes.
You didn't notice.
And if not, go grab the trades and read those before you read No Man's Land. Because there's a lot of important build up to it that I think is actually quite relevant. Batman Secret Files. This is all those Secret Files one-shots that happened, which tie in heavily to the Tynan.
The Fear State stuff.
Fear State, yeah. So, cool. Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries Volume 2. The Black Manta trade for that miniseries coming out.
Yep.
There's a Brightest Day omnibus coming out.
Yeah.
It's just a reprint, I think.
Is that a reprint? Yeah. Back when I read that the first time, it was the 3 single hardcovers that I read.
Dang.
Back in the day. Yep. 8 issues each. Injustice Gods Among Us, Year Zero, Complete Collection. Legends.
The paperback version.
Yeah, Legends of the Dark Knight. This is the digital series, I assume.
Yes, it's the one that was like last year, I think.
Yeah. New Teen Titans Volume 14. So this is continue to collect and print the
final volume of it.
The Wolfman Perez stuff. Yeah, because they got up to like Omnibus Volume 5 or something like that. So yeah, this is them finishing the trades of it. Yeah, so that's neat.
It's nice that they have finished it, and you can go and just get all of those trades and just have a nice stack on your shelf. Right?
Well, if you want that. It's one of the most prominent runs in DC history. It's kind of it was the big run of the 80s. The 90s.
I agree, but I obviously there's a lot of things like this that fall off, but 14 trades is still a lot. Like the Hellblazer one that was like 30 odd trades that collected the entire thing. They finished that. Maybe there's still one more to come out, but I think it's solicited. But just the fact that you can get all of that, I think, is very impressive. The commitment there that they followed through on it all.
No, it's good. It's good that they put the work and the effort in to actually wrap it all up. But there is a lot of runs that did not get finished, where they just gave up after 3 trades, which is really upsetting. But
I guess the sales just weren't there to justify it, right? Which is disappointing. But
yeah, Pennyworth, collecting that Pennyworth tie-in series.
Still love that cover. All the Faunus covers that they had for that book were great.
Suicide Squad Volume 2 Ambushed, current Suicide Squad series, I assume.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah. It's building up to the R3 stuff, so it must be.
Yeah.
It says a lot though that I can't just look at the art and the logo and tell that it's the current series. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So that's coming out. Is that a hardcover to start with?
No, it's just a paperback. Interestingly.
I'm sure there'll be a deluxe later. I'm willing to bet Cotter's left nutsack on it. Well, nutsack. You know what
I'd rather not, because I don't want it. The book, not the nutsack. I want that.
You can have a second nutsack if you want.
I just want to keep the one I got, if that's all right.
It'll be empty though. It'll just be a dangling nutsack with nothing in it.
That's nothing new.
Is it still a nutsack if there's nothing in it though? Isn't it just a sack?
I mean, yeah, because it's still designed.
There's a shell in there.
It's still designed for nuts though. Like, if you have a potato sack that is a canvas potato sack and there's no potatoes, it's still a potato sack.
No, it just becomes a sack.
No, if you're making like nut milk and you've got like a nut milk bag, even if you're not making it and you haven't got the nuts in there, it's still a nut milk bag.
Yeah, it's still what it's designed for. If you have
sorry, I'm eternally 13 years old and I can't help it.
If you have a rack for your tools and there's like a one specific rack for hammers, just because it's empty doesn't mean it's suddenly not the hammer rack. It's still the hammer rack.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just Matt, could you not handle the thought of the nut milk bag?
No, I laughed at nut milk. I'm sorry.
Mascot jizz on the brains.
No,
only the brains.
Well, maybe if he plays his cards right.
Aim was bad.
Teen Titans Academy Volume 1, X marks the spot. Everyone was such a big fan of that here. Animal Man Omnibus, new printing of that. So
yeah, it's the Morrison one, which obviously you're working through at the minute.
I
have the old printing of it. I definitely recommend it. It's a nice Omni.
Yeah. The only thing that might be different about it, maybe if sometimes if they improve their binding over time, the new edition may have a slightly better.
It's very possible that this version is the superior version.
Yeah. But it's not going to be annoying before it comes out.
No.
And people get to check it. Because back when they first started doing omnibuses, they switched to sewn binding, and it was better than the glued, but it was a bit stiff compared to like the Marvel omnibuses, which were much better. But then they kind of improved it, and then over
they've
time,
gotten better over the years.
Yeah.
I haven't read the Animal Omni in years, so I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what that one was like. But I don't remember it being terrible when I read it.
Green Lantern Season 2, Volume 2, Ultra War. This is the Grant Morrison Green Lantern series, the final trade, maybe? Yeah. So there you go. And that's it. That's SOLICITS. That's June, all wrapped up and in the bag.
We made it.
But there's actually one bit of news that I've got as well to add on to this. This is coming in October, but they've announced it because it's got a bit of celebrity attached to it.
Because the movie is hot right now.
Yeah, so Paul Dano, who plays Riddler in the Batman, is going to be writing a Riddler Year 1 6-issue series, which is going to start in October, which is, a bit of a stunt, but I mean, if he really and obviously it's the Riddler that's in the movie that he's writing this about. This is meant to be the movie version of the Riddler, so intriguing to see how that goes.
Artist is Steven Subic, who apparently is known for his work on Conan and Tarzan stories in the European market.
I was actually skimming.
This will be his American comics debut.
I was actually skimming to see the artist, so I'm glad you found it because it's in the paragraph somewhere.
Buried it in the third paragraph out of 5, so just randomly in the middle of the article.
Yeah, so the cover they released for it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that DC have been doing this lately. Like they've done with a lot of a handful of the CW actors kind of writing stories for their characters, and this is obviously a bit more higher profile, but.
It's about
these celebrity writers a little bit lately.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stunt, but it's kind of a neat one. And
I wonder how many of them have ghostwriters.
Very possible. It's a bit of a stunt though as a marketing play because there are people who might try a comic for the first time because the actor they're obsessed with is involved in it. So
are people obsessed with Paul Dano?
I mean, I don't know, but there's definitely people who are obsessed with some of those CW actors.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's far more likely with those.
Yeah. Maybe there's some Paul Dano stands out there. It's not impossible.
Got to read the Riddler book because he's writing it. Maybe, just maybe.
I mean, I'll probably check out the first issue at least out of morbid curiosity, if nothing else.
Depends if I've watched the movie by then or not.
I mean, I think it's going to HBO Max by the end of next month. So
that doesn't mean I'll have watched it by October.
You're going to have like 6 months to watch it.
Just because it's available to watch doesn't mean I will watch it. This is what I'm saying.
Look, we all know my stance on the character of Batman, but once the night that drops, I'm probably watching it again.
Honestly, this might be the first new movie I go out my way to buy, even though I've seen it in theaters as soon as it comes out in a long time.
I will probably watch it at some point this year. That is as much as I can commit to when I will get to it. I'll probably actively avoid watching it for a few weeks when the home release hits, or HBO Max if that's first, as opposed to the digital, like the actual release, because it'll reignite all the Twitter nonsense that I can't be arsed with, and that'll just put me in a bad mood for watching it. So I'll wait till that dies down again and then watch it.
Well, harass Connor on Twitter.
Oh, I've got it all muted.
May 25th, though.
Do you know what?
What's May 25th?
I haven't even watched the Kenobi trailer yet. This is. I'm just so. I'm so checked out of most media right now that I don't have the energy to watch trailers for anything.
Just watch the Obi-Wan trailer. It's gonna scratch some itches.
Star Wars Probably. Trash.
I've already had a lot of the trailers spoiled for me, so do I need to?
But
anymore?
like, just that feeling when Duel of the Fates hits, like.
What, are you telling me they put in something to give a cheap pop to Star Wars fans in a Star Wars trailer?
No, it's not a cheap pop. It's an earned pop.
Is using music from the franchise a cheap pop?
Yeah. Especially with the
in this case,
a defining moment from that character's arc, like that's tied into that character.
So that's all Star Wars is now. That's what all the new movies were. It was all just cheap pops.
There are cheap pops, but sometimes a pop is just a pop, Pete.
Except Last Jedi. To give credit where credit is due, Last Jedi was not just cheap pops.
Right.
You might not have liked it, but it wasn't cheap pops.
No. But Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker were definitely cheap pops. Nothing but cheap pops.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but I'm just saying, based off the trailer, using the song when they do, it's.
Oh, yeah, I've not watched the trailer. I'm saying all this without having watched the trailer, because why would I watch the Star Wars trailer?
No context. It might actually be fine, for all Pete knows.
It could be, but if I was a betting man, I'd say it's a cheap pop.
It's a good job you're not, because you'd have no money.
He'd be in debt to some really bad people.
Yeah. Cheap pop. That's all Star Wars is these days. Marvel as well, to be honest, for the most part. Not the comics. I'm talking about the movies and stuff.
The MCU stuff.
Yeah.
Also, apparently Sony keep they're really riding hard on the Amazing Spider-Man stuff from Homecoming, and like kind of pseudo teasing in Amazing Spider-Man 3 on social media, and it's weird.
I think people I get people like Garfield and stuff, but I think people are forgetting just how bad the vast majority of Amazing Spider-Man 2 was.
Yeah,
I never even watched 2. I really like Amazing Spider-Man. I like Amazing Spider-Man 1 more than any of the
Tobey Maguire movies. I actually agree with that. I think it's better than the Tobey Maguire movies, but the second one was pretty bad. Like, really bad. Jamie Foxx's like Electro in that movie is rough stuff.
Spider-Man was gonna come to my birthday. That's his inciting incident. Yeah. I will say the last 5 minutes of Spider-Man versus the Rhino are the strongest Amazing Spider-Man stuff for me. Because it feels the most Spider-Man. But
it doesn't matter after 2 hours of shit, though.
Yeah. You can just watch that as
Amazing
as like
Spider-Man
a short.
2 was the first like of the modern comic book movies where I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see it.
Just funny. I was critiquing Civil War on Twitter, and then I mentioned that earlier. But Civil War is genuinely the comic book movie that made me go, I think I'm not in love with this anymore. I'm fatigued with this.
100% for me. Like, where the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this was good." It was the first time I felt like it was a chapter of a larger story, but I still enjoyed it. It was when I tried to rewatch some of the Marvel movies. I tried to like rewatch the major ones in the run up to the third Avengers movie, like the first part. And it was when I got to Civil War where I was like, I can't finish this movie. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just done with these movies. That was where I checked down. I was like, I'm stopping now.
Yeah, I rewatched Civil War and Infinity War before Endgame, and Civil War was a chore. Like it was tedious. Such a chore to get through.
I think it has that first watch value in it where it's like, oh, this is the new chapter. But I do not think it holds up.
Yeah, I think so much of the MCU is unrewatchable to me. Like the thought of rewatching most of those movies is just like tiring.
Yeah.
Matt's just sitting there holding his tongue because he knows
yeah, he's outnumbered.
Oh, it's not that outnumbered. I'm not wasting my time, so it's fine.
Oh, I know. We've wasted enough time on this bullshit tonight.
Well, because I want to get through, because there's a grand opening of a cookie store I want to get to today. So. Forgot to mention there's a hockey-themed cookie store opening by the new arena. So
hey, if you want
that is the most Matt sentence ever uttered.
If you want to see Sebastian Stan in an interesting film, watch Fresh. Which
we're going to, as we finish Pam and Tommy, and he's underrated as an actor. That's Sebastian Stan.
I didn't watch that because I kind of felt a bit sketchy once I realized kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff about it.
Yeah, but they really do address.
What's the sketchy stuff? What's this behind the scenes stuff?
So Pam didn't want this story told because it's a very traumatic thing for her, and they did it anyways. However, not sticking up for that, they do address that on the show.
It's particularly bizarre given that the concept of the story is about
consent.
About consent and being violated, and then when she's like, "Please don't tell this story," they're like, "No, we're going to do it anyway." That feels wrong.
That is a bit shitty.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that until about 7 eps in.
Out of what? 9? 8?
8. So yeah. But I will say quality. I mean, all that back behind the scenes stuff notwithstanding, it is fairly well put together.
I'll be honest, I don't understand why it's not a movie.
What are the rules actually on doing something based on a true story about someone when they don't want you to do it?
It's mainly when you're making your entire moral point of the show about consent, and then
no, but I'm thinking legally though, because people sell their stories to people, like the rights to their story.
Well,
so
this
surely
is based
I mean, I get that there's probably some clauses where
they'll abort the rights from whatever newspaper wrote the stories,
and that's what they did here. Is because this is based off of a Rolling Stone article,
right? Okay,
so that's what they're doing. Because they reached out to her.
I do get that there's probably some like sort of reporting kind of law where it's like, oh well, no, this is a real thing, so we're allowed to make a story about it because it's based on something, but.
As long as it's not false, which obviously then you get libel.
Right, and because it was based off of
I bet Pamela Anderson's lawyers are watching it just like looking for inaccuracies, no?
Well, no, but people can't do that.
She could have sued for the original story, which would have been libelous, but because it wasn't, and then this is adapting that, so she can't actually stop them. Because
a lot of the legal proceedings are based off of actual court transcripts that the reporter worked into the original story, but yeah, it's fairly put together. I mean, for a Hulu, like it could have easily been two
it's
movies.
It's the director that did I, Tonya and...
Yeah, the first 3 episodes, and then it's a rotating. The rest of them are like Bell directed one. A lot of other TV directors do the final 5 episodes.
That's just fine. I was under the impression that
So the first 3 feel very much like I, Tonya Part 2, because it's Craig Gillespie and Sebastian Stan, and you're dealing with similar themes. And Lily James completely disappears.
I mean, I saw the trailer around, but I cannot see her in that. There
are times where I forget that this is not the real Pamela Anderson because she's so unrecognizable. Then there's other times, and like in wider shots, you're like, oh no, yeah, that's Lily James. But for all the close stuff, but no, the original point, Sebastian Stan is so great at playing this complete and total a-hole that can flip a switch and is completely charming. And he just, as the Winter Soldier, he doesn't get to do much reach. He's very stilted and stoic, and all of that.
Say an MCU actors are limited.
Not all of them, but yeah, no. Pete's not the first person to recommend Fresh, so that's on the list.
Yes.
So,
yes, Fresh is.
And I'm seeing X tonight too. After
I'm looking forward to seeing that, but it's not really playing that much around here, and I'll just wait until we're doing it for streams in a couple of months.
Yeah, our showings are limited, but he really wants to. He's put his first 2 weeks in, got his first paycheck. He wants to. We're gonna go. So
currently watching all the Best Picture nominees for the Oscars next week, and oh man, it's not a hot year,
bro. After Power of the Dog, I'm out.
I've done Dune, which is the only one I give a shit about so far. Power of the Dog, which was fine.
It's a well-made movie.
Not bad, but
I just
didn't care.
I don't get why it's so lauded. That's all.
Me either. Although, if you read the Twitter consensus, or the critics consensus, I should say, that's because we only have the attention span of Twitter and we don't pay attention to the film anymore because it's a Netflix film.
I put my phone down to watch because I wanted to make sure I watched the performances.
But we didn't get it, Matt. We just didn't get it.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah. Nightmare Alley, which was about 45 minutes too long, I would say.
And you're being generous.
Yeah. And I watched, what was the other one I watched?
Did you watch West Side Story yet?
Not yet. I've done 4 of them. Dune, Power of the Dog. Licorice Pizza, which
I want to see, but it's a slice of life. I'm not.
Yeah, it's all right.
If I couldn't see it at the theater,
did you just say it's a slice of life, but for a movie called Licorice Pizza?
Yes.
You did, yes.
Yes, you had.
But Licorice Pizza's not even a pizza place, Pete. It's a record store.
That's just tipsters. This shit. The only one I want, because I think it's nominated. I want to watch Coda. I've heard good things about Coda.
Yes,
Coda is nominated. I'll
that one, and tonight. Now that Dune's on HBO Max, I might give that a go.
It's that and Belfast, the 2 I'm most interested in.
I'm not watching. I can't watch Belfast. I watched all 50 Shades of Grey movies this year, and I don't want the actor to be on 4 movies.
Jamie Dornan.
So I have to avoid that movie.
That's fair, but I really like Branagh, so I'm probably not. I think Tragedy of Macbeth, which I don't think is for Best Picture. I think it's for like cinematography and some of the other stuff. I'm very excited to watch that one as well because I love
Denzel Bradley's performance.
It's one. I don't know which of the Coens it is. I can't remember. It's one of them.
I think it's Joel.
Yeah, and
I think
visually, just from what I've seen, it looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I watched West Side Story, and that's West Side Story, right?
It's West Side Story, right?
But
I'm there for.
It's West Side Story through Spielberg's lens, and he decides, hey, remember when I used to direct and do things like interesting? Like I'm gonna do a oneer that when you think about how it was set up, it's gonna blow your mind. So
that's me slightly more excited to watch it because I haven't seen the original in probably 15 years, but I have fond memories of it.
Yeah. I feel like it. So like Ash loved it. She loves musicals and whatnot. I would get bored and be like, all right, well, once there's another thing going,
I mean,
it's just Romeo and Juliet.
It's Romeo and Juliet, but a musical, which means I'm there for it.
Right. And so I get bored, and then Spielberg would do something cool. I'm like, all right, God damn it, I'm back in, and then go again. So, but yeah, no, Nightmare Alley, I agree. Hey, Patreon people, if you want to make Pete watch something, make him watch Nightmare Alley.
Also, probably the most predictable ending of any of the movies I've seen yet.
I want to watch Nightmare Alley. I don't like most Del Toro movies.
It's Del Toro, and it overstays its welcome. And I don't understand all the praise that one's getting either. Like it's fine. It's well shot. It feels of an era, which is cool. But the story just, I don't care.
Actually, I'm surprised you were trying to make me watch that. I thought you were going to try and coerce them into making me watch West Side Story, which also sounds like hell.
I wouldn't do that.
I feel like Pete would hate that more. Like at least with, I think you'd probably be more bored by Nightmare Alley than West Side Story, but you would hate West Side Story more for sure.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't do that one to you, Pete, because like if I'm gonna make you watch a musical, it's one that I fully like.
Well, that's the thing. People made me watch Cats, and the thing with Cats is that after the first 10 minutes of just being horrified at how everything looks, it just got really painfully boring because nothing happens. It just keeps...
Yeah, but Cats is not a good musical. Let's make that clear. Like that is objectively bad.
I mean, sure, but my point remains though is that I'm pretty sure after 10 minutes of West Side Story, I'd have nothing new to say about it. It would just be, I just hate this. It's not for me.
No. I think you talking about cinematography and stuff, I think you would like it for that. The technical aspect, I think, would speak to you more so than other stuff. So, Power of the Dog, Connor, I'm glad it's not just me because I see praise for
everywhere. I'm like, it's fine.
And like Benedict Cumberbatch's arc from being this nasty a-hole, that you're just like, dude, what's his problem? To like, oh, he's actually
I saw you know how people make like, really obscure lists on Letterboxd for like stupid things. It was like 2021 movies in which Benedict Cumberbatch puts on an American accent and has a relationship with a teenage boy who tries to call him sir, and he has to tell him not to. And it's just that and Spider-Man.
And he just, I don't get, and look, I like Jesse Plemons. I don't understand why he's nominated. He doesn't do anything
in that movie. He's in like 4 scenes.
Yeah. Kirsten Dunst is fine, but like compared to some of the other performances, I don't. And maybe I just don't get it. I don't know. Maybe
the only two people in that movie that have any impact really are Cumberbatch and
Cody Smith-McPhee. Yeah. And I get those. I get those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that movie, I was like, I knew it was long. I knew it's not though. It's only like 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Compared to some of the others, it's not as long. Yeah.
You feel it. You feel it though. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's
funny to me.
Very disappointed.
It's funny to me right now that there's a movie about a dog with Channing Tatum and it's just called Dog. And every time someone says Power of the Dog, that's the movie that pops in my head first.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
However, I'm sure I would much more enjoy that one as someone that loves their, canine companions.
All right, let's talk about comics then, shall we?
Well, that is allegedly what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Unless there was more news that Connor claimed to have.
No, I threw it in during the solicits.
Oh, there you go. All right, comic books then. Detective Comics 1057, Mariko Tamaki writing, Amancay Nahuelpan on the art. This is part 11 of 12 of the Tower storyline. And Batman showed up at the end of the last issue. And is
filling Pete's fears.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. It's
now a Batman versus Scarecrow story, and I don't care.
I think that's too harsh. I think you're.
It is, but out of anything, if I had to guess what Connor was going to say, that would have been it.
I think like this had a really interesting, if not always amazing, but interesting first 8 or 9 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I had some pacing critiques, but overall, I was into it. And now it's just, it's Batman versus Scarecrow again. We just did that.
Hindsight being 2020, I wish they had seeded Scarecrow a little bit more. Kind of ramp up the kind of fear around the tower. However, I don't mind where this is going because I kind of like the idea of him wanting the Medusa mask.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That makes sense.
Is that him wanting Psycho Pirate's mask is a new way and a new avenue of creating fear in people and controlling fear. That's actually quite a nice idea. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that idea. So I kind of agree too with Connor with this become Batman vs Scarecrow, but that's the part I don't care. That's the part I care least about. Because I like all the other moving parts.
I was worried a little bit at the start because it seemed Batman focused for the first 4 pages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then it did start bouncing around to Tim and Steph and Huntress. Yep. And Cass. I think Cass gets some of the best moments in this issue.
Yeah.
Cass gets to jump in. There's like a page where she jumps in to kick someone towards the end, and like she gets this full page almost of just this like in silhouette kick. Yeah, she kicks the mask off Scarecrow. That's what it was. It's a really nice big moment. We also deal with Nakano's wife, kind of try to convince Psycho Pirate to help and try to stop Anavulsion from killing them, which leads to the big cliffhanger at the end where she's the one who puts on the mask, and it's been sort of setting up the idea that she needs to control her fear and has been struggling with that. So it's kind of a big deal for that character to finally have something. And possibly this is a dangerous thing, that the idea she's going to have too much control now, and that's something they can play with. But thematically, that made a lot of sense to me that we have that as a cliffhanger here towards the end of the story.
Yeah. Kind of wanted to see Scarecrow put the Medusa mask over his gas mask, just to see that visual.
Well, you see him wearing it, but obviously he's taking his gas mask off.
Yeah, he's taking the gas mask off, but just because, to me, like his true self is Scarecrow, not Jonathan Crane, right? Like that's the whole.
I will say,
to me, that's what makes him click.
It was an interesting visual. I do think Scarecrow typically still looks really nice in this. Like whenever you see panels of him in his mask.
That's that new design really working, isn't it?
Yeah, it just works almost in every scenario that we've seen it in. There's some stuff with Harley protecting the pharmacy supply from the, what do you call them? The gang.
Party Crashers.
Party Crashers, there you go. Lady Clayface has a quick appearance in there.
That one confused me, because was she just laying low and then comes to help Harley?
I assume she's technically been here, but she's just been looking like a whatever person she chooses to.
Yeah, that's okay. Because that was the thing that got me, is I was like, oh, okay, well, this is just out of left field a little bit, but it makes sense given Lady Clayface's deal.
Yeah. So there's lots of chaos. They're evacuating the building. We see various Bat family members helping with that. Cass at one point has someone on her back dangling down the side of the building. Tim and Steph are moving people out and directing them outside. So it kind of feels like they're cleaning up the chaos that's been created in this situation as everything's kind of crumbling. Penguin's sending in men to try and get all the supplies because he wants at least something out of this, because Dr. Werewolves him so much. So I really like the panel. See when Batman confronts Scarecrow, I like that he's got Batwoman, Cass, and Tim with him. I did like that. It did feel like more of a unified front as the issue went on, because I was worried in the first few pages that it was just going to be Batman and everyone else is just a side character.
Yeah, it's still the commitment
just
that
Batman. But
what Connor?
It's not just Batman, but it still feels like, okay, Batman's here now.
Well, I do like that it's a commitment that Detective is still the team, the Bat Family book.
Yeah, it felt more evened out to me once after those first few pages. It felt like it was bouncing around everyone pretty equally. And then I did like that when it builds up to the ending where Nakano's wife puts on the mask. I love that it cuts to day 67, which is far beyond any time we've seen. The idea that this tower does become some functioning version of itself in the future, the near future, obviously. A month's time.
Right. It's like a month later or whatever, but it shows that the tower still exists. Yeah, with Chase there beyond.
Right.
The scam.
And she's getting therapy and talking about stuff, and then the big ending. So it's this twofold thing where her putting on the mask is a big deal, and the reflection of the Bat family in the mask is kind of a cool visual or whatever. But it's also that reveal of, oh no, there's a future for this place. That's actually the big reveal here at the end, is that there's a future for this building, and it's going to function as a hospital for people who need it.
Right. When someone that does actually care about doing it, not just trying to collect money, that it can work. You got to overcome that corruption of Gotham.
I dug that at the end. So,
the art on Nahuelpan, I really like the fight scenes. So like the Huntress and Anavulsion, I think that they really focus on the like good parts of a fight, but then in other parts that aren't necessarily action sequences. So like Pete brought up Cass kicking the mask off of Scarecrow. But then there's other stuff where just like Scarecrow has the mask on in one and then not, and it's kind of, there's little pieces missing.
There's something really smart he does in those fight scenes, like that one with Huntress and Anavulsion, to give it a real sense of motion. beyond just their moving.
The streaks
and the direction that it goes in, like so it's like the red background.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, it follows the motion of the attack. So Huntress dives and it goes down, and it goes across with Bullshit and up with the kick for the knee to the face.
On a similar note, I don't know if it's when Cass kicks the mask off. It probably is, but it may be somewhere else. Where you see the mask is like bouncing on the ground, sort of away from whoever's grabbing for it. I thought that was a nice little touch in the art as well to make sort of feel that.
And again, that sequence has a similar thing with the background lines, where when Cass is coming in with the kick, the lines are coming towards, and then across with the mask kicked off, and then outwards with the motion of the bouncing other way. It really gives you the direction of movement with that background. I think that's really clever.
Yeah. So yeah, really solid put together. Penultimate part of the story. Your taste in Batman being involved at this point might vary, but I don't think it sidelined the characters. It does sideline Nightwing, because they say Nightwing he's going to take him a day to recover from the fear toxins.
That makes sense, though.
I mean, I'm okay with that, because I never felt like Nightwing was one of the. I always felt like it was focusing more on the ladies than it did Nightwing up until this point.
It was. Babs was quarterbacking it until Bruce shows back up. So she's the one that's kind of taking the lead and is organizing everybody to get to the right spots. And then Dick takes it to, he's the one that goes deep undercover, but he still calls into Oracle to let her know what's going on. So yeah, that helps.
Yeah. Plus, Dick actually has his own book, unlike all the other characters.
Right.
So yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was really happy with the issue. I think there's some really interesting stuff in how it's done.
I've liked this more than I haven't by quite a margin. You know, like there's little things that stick here and there, but overall, this is a pretty good Batman story. Well, Bat Family
story. Bat Family story. Maybe a better way of putting it. And then the backup, which does take things intentionally. We have a biggest time jump yet, probably, because our character who does get named in this issue is now a middle-aged man with a family, and it even says just a few days prior, which is a bit awkward given the timeline of everything else going on, but let's just say basically present day, right? Almost present day is the idea. And
does he get named in this issue?
No, you're confusing the characters, Pete.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Why? What gets named then?
Elliot Maslow was his buddy that got in with Penguin.
Oh, right, okay.
Orphanage.
Okay. All right.
The dark-haired kid. Yeah.
All right.
So we still don't know who the kid is, because as far as we know, he doesn't show up in this. Yeah. This part, which is the first
when
time.
the guy is like, they think he's harboring the Joker. Who he's actually harboring is our mystery character that we've been following. So we
think is the Joker because we see the Joker in the first page show up with that fedora.
We're set up to believe it's the Joker, but
right.
Obviously, we have been lied to.
Right.
That's what you do in stories.
And I'm willing to believe that wasn't Elliot Maslow. That was Basil Carlo.
That would make sense.
What we know here, but yeah. So they're going to the water. Basically, the where the water supply kind of runs through Gotham, and Batman put in a tracker or a device that if anyone messes with it, he gets an alert. He doesn't want Joker to.
The famous first Joker attack on the city is usually poisoned the water supplies. So this is kind of like a reference to that.
Right.
And Joker looks kind of weird here, which is why I was getting the impression that this is our character dressing as the Joker, because the hair kind of makes me think more of that character.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. But what I liked about this though is that Batman and Jason are investigating this family and they're tracking him down. I also thought the family guy was the kid. I did confuse that.
Sorry.
But when they go into the sewers, I did kind of like this idea that he, like all the villains that he's been kind of friends with throughout the story are what jump out at Batman, and that this is some kind of a trap.
Yeah, they ambush them all. Jason gets Croc. Dick gets Clayface.
Yeah. Tim gets Scarecrow. Yeah. So. And that's their big kind of thing. And then the water comes flooding into the sewer system at the end. So it seems like, this character has arranged some kind of multi-villain trap for Batman. And what's effectively present day. Like I say, it's like, just prior to the ongoing stories right now.
Yeah, because we have Jason in his full-on crowbar gear.
Yeah.
With the half mask instead of the full helmet.
I think that's the slight disappointment, right? Is that we kind of jumped maybe so far that we missed some interesting elements.
Yeah, because we were predicting last issue, like what, or maybe 2 issues ago, what are some of the time periods we might go into in the last few issues, and then it's just like, oh, we're at present day, okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still looking forward to seeing how this ends, but I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't see some of the other cool stuff that we could have done.
It was also a very narrative shift in this issue, because we've been following that character in every part of the story, and in this one it kind of shifted to there's something weird's happened and Batman's investigating, so obviously it's going to tie in, and that character's going to be an important part of it, but it was told very differently to the previous 10 parts.
This felt a little bit more like a regular Batman comic.
Typical.
Typical, yeah, is probably a good word, as opposed to the unique story we've been following.
Which, don't get me wrong, I think works because you have that in your brain the entire time that this has to tie into that previous stuff, so you're kind of waiting for the links, you're waiting for the...
Because we're thinking this kid's about Dick's age, right?
Given when he met Dick as a kid, give
or take.
So now to jump from where he was in the last one, which is kind of maybe late teens, to during No Man's Land, we're jumping like maybe 10 years.
He's a similar age to this, and maybe a little bit younger than the other guy, right? The family guy.
Yeah.
The family guy looks a bit older, but maybe it's just
it's the receding hairline, Pete. It ages you.
Yeah, very good.
That wasn't necessary, but all right.
Look, the guy has a receding hairline. It's relevant.
So,
my fault, Peter, personally.
I took it personally. I took it personally for me.
Yeah, I did, because it felt like a shot for all those Ginger has no souls.
Well, I'm not saying it wasn't a shot, but I'm saying it was a shot in context.
It's all right. After all the shots I've taken at Carter, he's just a bloody husk lying on the floor. It's just...
But yeah, no, stand. It was... I'm still here for all this, because the Blanco art, like...
On Blanco's art, while still good, this issue and the last one, I am feeling very slightly that, not consistently, but there's the odd face here or there that's not been up to the same standard, that I'm thinking maybe he was rushing slightly towards these last couple.
Yeah, I commented in a few proportions last issue that felt a little bit off.
Yeah. There's one on Batman's face, not the very last page, the one before, the top panel. His face just feels slightly off.
Yeah. Well, that too, just Batman from the neck up, because there's the page where you see Croc behind Jason.
Yeah,
the close up of Bruce, the head looks a little bit weird.
Yeah, and I think this is just a case of it's 12 issues he's done every weekly, and while they're only 10 pages, that's still essentially 2 issues a month of a regular artist, and I think maybe he didn't quite have enough lead time, and just very slightly, and these last couple, it's like, okay, he's kind of just rushing towards the end now. But overall, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Matt, what are you giving the main story?
An 8.
And the backup?
7.5.
Carter, main story?
Oh God, I'm gonna sound so negative. As always, right? But a 5. It's fine, but it lost me a little bit with this swerve towards Scarecrow at the end, and I feel a little bit checked out of this final act of the story.
Yeah, I'm going straight 8 for myself. What was your backup score?
Just a 7.
Yeah, backup for me is like a 7, I think, as well. So there you go. That's Detective Comics Nightwing issue 90. I had to check what number it was. Tom Taylor writing with Geraldo Borges on the art. So not Redondo. Obviously, he just did the 2 crossover issues, so you had to take a little bit of time
nothing
off.
against this artist, but that's the biggest flaw. It's not Redondo.
I do miss Redondo. There's some truth to that.
Still in the art, and this is pretty good.
It's not bad.
Tonally is consistent.
Yeah. So this is more of the Get Grayson stuff. Blockbuster's hired a group of assassins to go after Dick. He wants him dead so much that this group are just going to basically destroy the entire city block to get to Dick Grayson. So his sister warns him right before it happens. So he dings the fire alarm, and evacuates the building. He's grabbing the dog. He's running out. There's some nice stuff of him running down the stairs and like giving the dog to a neighbor so he can go save the guy who's deaf who doesn't sleep with a hearing aid in. Which leads to a lot of comedy because the guy's like, "You're stealing my hearing aid. You're a hearing aid thief."
It's very Spider-Man. Like I feel like Spider-Man coming in there to save somebody that can't hear to hear him telling him to get out and thinks he's being robbed. I love that aspect.
Yeah, you said about a lot of this run, right?
Yeah, and then of course, I'd say there's more Daredevil than Spider-Man, but I think the comparison of Spider-Man and Nightwing's always been there. I think out of anyone in the Bat family, Nightwing's the one you compare to Spider-Man the most, but there's a lot of stuff with after he jumps out the window with this deaf guy, and then he's like, "This guy stole my hearing aid. He broke it in my apartment, and then he blew it up." And he's like, "Well, I admit that the sequence of events is a bit suspicious, but that's not quite what happened."
Dear old Wally shows up to save the day.
Well, Wally, yeah, he hears. He wakes up. Linda's phone dings. He finds out, and he speeds off immediately to go and see if his friend's all right. And even hurts himself moving all the rubble out the way, but of course Nightwing's fine because he went out the window. And the big thing here, all on the heartwarming Wally Dick kind of reunion stuff, is that Dick Grayson was last seen racing in to save someone, and then the building blew up. So he's kind of presumed dead to a point. And Wally suggests maybe you shouldn't let people know that Dick's okay for a little bit, and let people think he's dead.
I think that's going to be interesting because it means he's going to have to be Nightwing permanently for at least a few issues, I would think.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that'll just take a little bit of a toll on him.
It might, yeah, they might play with that a little touch. And Wally insists that Dick stay with him, so he speeds him back to his house in Keystone.
And goes back for the dog.
Yeah, it goes back for the dog. But there's some fun stuff here of interacting with Linda, the kids like staring at him when he wakes up, and making him some unsafe breakfast.
Bacon is the best kind. Everyone knows that.
Of course.
The kids. So, do you think this artist meant to make the kids looking over him as he wakes up unnecessarily creepy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I obviously sometimes that can be a mistake, but I think in this case, the creepy kids just staring, waiting for him to wake up is 100% the intention.
Yeah. Also, I approve of the classic DC logo T-shirt that Dick's sleeping in.
This book has been killing it with that, and I did appreciate that continued in the crossover in the Superman issue as well.
Yeah. There is a little touch here is that basically they're kind of aware that there might be a mole in the villains group of the city because someone must have tipped Dick off, otherwise he wouldn't have had the warning. So that's obviously a thing. I got a really good chuckle actually out of Wally after Dick wakes up. He's like, "Okay, let's go do this. I'm going to help you. We're going to solve all these problems." And he shows him like basically the wall covered in the photos of all the villains with the strings and all that. And for some reason, the line, "I don't have a plan. I just have all these photos stuck in my wall," really made me laugh.
And I think it's the follow-up. It's a good start, is what got me.
Yeah.
So
but again, it's very Wally West that I enjoy.
It's not the funniest line in the book though. I'll get there in a little bit.
Yeah. No, but it's just very much he's like, "Look, we're gonna do all this." It's like, because he's the Flash and because he's so into the Speed Force, his actions move faster than his understanding of them does. So he just put all these on the wall, right? He's like, "I don't know what to do next," and it just
slow down to think about it. That's he didn't anti-Wally,
and it hits that their dynamic because that whole part where Nightwing talks about, it's a good thing that my best friend is a speedster, it just really hits their dynamic.
Yeah, and then we cut to Gotham, and Babs is walking along the street.
Just before we go, can we talk about Wally being like, "I think I missed several key important details." When she's like, "Oh, my sister, she's the mayor." What? What the hell are you talking about?
Sister?
But we go to Gotham, and Babs is accosted by some men, and obviously plays along. She doesn't want to reveal that she knows how to fight crime or anything like that, so she sort of lets herself be kidnapped. But the line that cracked me up is she's got her secret comms and stuff and says to Dick, "Yeah, I can get out of this, but two guys did just kidnap me." But the line that got me was, "They're after you, Nightwing. They fridged me to get to you."
It's official DC terminology now. Fridging.
Yep.
Well, fridging became this just wider thing that's used in media to talk about what happens when a character's killed.
It did start in a DC comic.
That's really weird.
Right?
Every time I think about this, it blows my mind. The Kyle Rayner Green Lantern book is what gave
a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern book, and then the term named by Gail Simone.
Yeah, yes. Which gave way to something that I have heard people talking about in movies, like fridging characters is something that's I've heard it used in movies that have nothing to do with DC characters or comics or anything.
Yeah, it became part of the greater pop culture.
Yeah, and it came from a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern comic. That's just really funny to me. But
it's the only thing of value that has ever come from a Kyle Rayner story.
You shut your mouth, you ginger whore. You hear me? So, yes. Yes, Matt, you all right?
No, yeah. You guys are funny.
So, Dick's like, no, Bab, stay in the van. We'll find out where they go. Do a bit of recon sort of thing. So, sure enough, they pull a bit of a switcheroo so that when they open the van, it's Dick and Wally, and it's KG Beast, who's one of the villains here, who's waiting for them. And there's a nice little touch. This is actually the final page, but Wally's basically, wait, KG Beast, that's the guy who shot you in the head, right? And he's like, yep. It's like, oh, a lot of our friends have been waiting to get our hands on you, and I'm so happy that I got to first. And that's the final page.
Was it just me that took this as a meta comment? As this is the person responsible for shooting Dick Grayson, and there's a long line of people for it.
How dare you have caused that Rick Grayson bullshit?
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. I think there might be some intention there.
There's gotta be, because you could tell Tom Taylor loves the character, right? Like there's a lot of love for Dick Grayson put into these pages.
Yeah.
So, but we got to that Wally again. This is a Wally that before I had caught up to Flash. This had been like, oh, see, this is why we need a good Wally West book. We have a decent one right now. Helps that Taylor is such a good writer, right? He hits the voice of the character so well.
I think just on the art suffers probably at its most when it's dealing with Wally.
Yeah.
Specifically Wally as the Flash. I think when he's just Wally is fine.
Yeah.
I think his Flash is a bit ugly. When
the proportions on the costume are a little bit off.
Yeah.
Right? The earpieces feel small on that page.
I think he's mostly okay when he's just stood around talking, but whenever he's in motion as the Flash, which is kind of what you want the Flash to be,
I think
that's where it suffers.
Where it hurts for me is just the lack of some of the creativity. Because the page where he's coming down the stairs and he's on different floors in each panel talking to different neighbors, that was a sort of page where I went, oh, this is a really basic way to show this, when this book with Redondo has been so inventive and creative of showing him moving around the building and things like that. So I felt the lack of
back to back with the Superman issue from last week, and obviously that was Redondo, and that had there was a page relatively early on of Nightwing going up the side of a building.
Yes, that's where he backflips. He grapples and backflips up,
and it was absolutely stunning. I was like, yes, that is what Redondo brings to this book, and that no other artist is coming close to matching. And obviously that was in Superman, but it was essentially just the Nightwing story. Nothing else is coming close to it. Even these artists that are solid, this is perfectly decent. They're just not bringing that extra above and beyond flair that I don't know if anyone else can.
Yeah. So I mean that is kind of the one main critique I would have of this. But I love Wally caring about Dick. I love the continued sort of escalation of the attempts on his leg, because the first time was that big winner, right? That was that issue, and then it's escalated to this point where they're just like, okay, the scalpel approach isn't working. Let's bust out the chainsaw, which is this assassin group. So it's escalating
they also
nicely.
Had the first attempt was when the Titan showed up to have his back.
True, yeah.
And then we had the Wonder issue, and now this. And so
was that first or was that second? It doesn't really matter either way, I suppose. But
yeah. Wasn't the Titan issue before the single page?
I'm not sure it was.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Well, I like here though that the lady that lives in the building.
I'm certain it wasn't, because the Warner issue opens with them being like, "Hey, they're coming for you as Dick Grayson. Get out of there." That's what starts that issue off.
Well, I like here too that the relationships between the people in the building, because we've seen this lady before, right? But then the kids love the dog, so he gives them to her, and then you find out that she was the superintendent of the building, and she goes and talks to the commissioner, you would guess, or whoever he is on the police force in Bloodhaven, and we see that he's in Blockbuster's pocket.
Yeah, he's corrupt and warns them and stuff.
And so to see that all play out too, it's the story's being very well told. And then don't forget we have Heartless somewhere in the background too, with that thread going on.
I think that's what we're dealing with after this arc.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the run's fire on all cylinders. I have very little to complain about.
Like we talk about how action is, a classic in the making. This one clearly is too.
Yeah, Nightwing and Action are the two books right now that are at the top. And there's a lot of other books I'm enjoying, but those are the two that are at that top where they're special.
Yeah.
So, no. Excellent stuff. All right, Matt, what are you giving Nightwing?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Okay, Connor?
I'm probably going to agree with the 8.5, and it is just that art that holds it back from being anything higher.
Yeah, I think I'll be the third tier and say 8.5 as well. And that Redondo being on art probably would have elevated it even more. But hey, it is what it is. So there you go. Next up we have Batman Superman World's Finest issue 1. Mark Waid writing, Dan Mora on the art. So one weird thing out of the way is that preview of this that was in the whatever special that was that had the story.
It's just the first 10 pages?
Yeah.
I think there's like an extra page first, but yeah, it's all there pretty much.
That was really disappointing because I felt like I read half this issue already.
Yeah.
Right, well, the good news is it's actually oversized, so you're still getting 20 plus pages in your comic in this.
Yeah, but it would have been cool to get more new stuff.
I agree. It would have been cool to get even more new stuff, but you do get at least a full comic's worth of new material.
It feels like, and this is maybe whatever that book was, where it was like an extra $1 to have that backup.
Mm.
I think it was actually Detective 1050.
Was it? Okay, there you go.
I think it was in that. Because that was the oversized one. It was like an extra $1. I feel like I got robbed there because what was the point in putting it in there if it's just going to be in here as well?
Yeah. No, I mean that's fair, but that's not really this book's fault. That's just an editorial thing.
Yeah. I know, because where the story goes, I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
Because it does, like, this feels like a World's Finest versus just Batman Superman, whereas I feel like this is going to get really to the crux of why Batman and Superman stand out.
Yeah, so just to sort of recap what that preview story did that is the start of this book is Poison Ivy's in Metropolis causing chaos, Superman is there, Batman and Robin are there, but Metallo's also there working with Poison Ivy, and the big cliffhanger of that preview, which happens a little bit into this, is that Metallo injects Superman with a cocktail of like multiple kinds of red kryptonite. So it's like, okay, well, because obviously red kryptonite obviously affects them differently with each part of it, each different sample of it. So this is a mix of multiple red kryptonite pieces, and yeah, Superman goes kind of nuts. He feels pain, his powers go haywire, and then he starts hallucinating and seeing different people to who's actually talking to him. So he sees Lex instead of Batman at one point. He sees, instead of the Doom Patrol, he sees like Zod and Nursa, which, by the way, loved the Doom Patrol inclusion in this. Had a lot of fun with that. Really good time.
Well, in the flashback part too, we get the Weaponry of the Quard.
Yeah. We get Antimatter, the villains, working with Penguin.
Just a whole. It feels like a different era of DC, and I think cool.
I think that's the main thing it's going for. Is it wants to feel like this classical, almost Silver Age, and its tone and the way the characters speak, like some of the stuff with Robin and like Dick's little quips, people feel very old school.
Actually, that's one of my big critiques, because you just said Dick, but that's clearly Tim, and it's Dick in the flashback, but the regular Robin is definitely Tim, and that really bothers me.
Oh shit, it is.
I think the dialogue is fundamentally interchangeable. It sounds like Dick, but clearly visually it's Tim. It's got the staff, it's got Tim's outfit. But the dialogue-wise, completely interchangeable.
So I got so wrapped up in the dialogue, I didn't even realize. I just assumed.
Yeah,
it was Dick Grayson.
I thought it was Dick as well. Admittedly,
that's one of my big critiques of the book.
I mean, you're not wrong, Connor.
It does make sense that it's a different Robin based on the flashback, and then like cutting back to this. But
because in the flashback's definitely Dick. It's got the little pixie shorts on, and
yeah.
The boots.
Yeah.
But much like Matt, I just, based on the dialogue, never even thought about which Robin it was. I just kind of assumed it was Dick.
As a big Tim fan, hurts because I'm like, man, if you're not going to write Tim, just don't make it Tim.
Right.
Yeah. I really like the book though. I think Doom Patrol's inclusion, because there's a sort of tease of them before where someone says, "Oh, what sort of doctor could even deal with like someone like this mad science?" And then Doom Patrol show up, and then eventually Batman says, "Yeah, Niles Calder's the man." that's who you call when you do weird shit like this. Because I love the cliffhanger, which is they take Superman, to the mansion, and the chief, like the cliffhanger of the book is that they're going to do surgery on Superman, so he's got like kryptonite made surgical instruments so that they can cut into him and try and fix whatever's happened with the red kryptonite. Like, I actually really dig that as a pulpy kind of story. I also, my favorite, I mean, the art's fantastic throughout. Mora is wonderful. The colors are great. I love the representation of Negative Man in this. I think that looks really fun.
It really is a negative image, right? Like, he's all shadow. So in that page where he's at the top when he pops out of Trainer, like it looks so cool. And then as he absorbs the energy, it takes on, he goes from black to white, but there's no details in that.
It's just silhouette, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I dig it. I think the colors are very strong. It's got very vibrant.
Camera bomb villain on the colors.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. That name comes up a lot with this type of coloring.
Yeah, I think she was with Dan Mora quite a lot as well. Still wants a future team. Yeah.
Everything's very expressive. I think the tone that it's going for, it hits really well. And you've got more of a classic Lois and Jimmy. The idea that Lois doesn't know Clark's Superman, so we're kind of in that era. But I mean, if it's Tim, then it kind of paints it in like a just in the years before Death of Superman kind of time frame.
Yeah.
So post-crisis, before Death of Superman, they're kind of in that range of time, which is cool.
Yeah.
Up for it.
Yeah, and Mora's layouts too, like the one with Tim taking down the helicopter or saving the helicopter.
The panels
Superman knocked it down. Yeah. Just all the jaunty angles and just you can follow the helicopter as it falls.
Yeah, the helicopter being out of the panels a lot of the time.
Yeah.
To go back to the Dick Tim thing. Is honestly like him saying alley oop and saying as the crowd roars as he grabs the pilot.
It's very Dick.
It's a very Dick, because I thought this was a reference to his past. I thought this was a reference to him being a trapeze artist.
Acrobat.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, maybe there's some mistranslation in the script as to when it got given to Mora. Maybe it was supposed to be Dick and they didn't make that clear, and he's drawn Tim. Visually, definitely Tim.
It's Tim. Yeah.
But the voice is Dick, and I don't know who to blame for that necessarily.
I mean, honestly,
either way, it's very jarring.
So my only complaint though is this. This is the only critique I'd have of the
honestly,
issue.
I don't want to say negative on this book because I'm not like down on it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But I just don't love it. I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's a perfectly fine book. I just don't think it's great.
No, I think it's great, but I think it's not doing anything.
I said it's perfectly enjoyable. It's fine.
I appreciate perfectly for my what I like in DC because it is a Superman and Batman book, but it's seeming like based off of covers and the solicits we saw, it's gonna have lots of guest star and play with the DC universe as a whole.
It's clearly going to be Waid and more as well, obviously, but Waid getting to write a bunch of characters. And my favorite scene of the issue is probably when Batman's trying to talk down Superman and he's appearing as Lex Luthor, but he's trying to break through to him. So he's saying, Clark, it's Bruce. You need to, Lex doesn't know who you are. Listen to me. You trust me. I trust you. You have to listen to my voice. Like the crux of this issue being no, Bruce has to use his friendship with Clark to break him out of this is actually kind of a sweetheart of the whole issue. So I think what it's doing is actually pretty smart, and it's going for kind of a classic feel and style. It's set in a classic time period. I had nothing but fun with this, really.
Well,
the Robin confusion is the only thing that, and it is a legit complaint, but it doesn't take away from the fun of it, really, I would say.
No, and the voices everywhere else to where Jimmy's yelling, "Oh my God, he's literally a man of steel." That feels very Silver Agey Jimmy Olsen, right? And then to counter that with Robot Man showing up, he goes, "Hey, that's my gig." I like that, and my knowledge of the Doom Patrol is very much season 1 and a couple issues of the 80s Doom Patrol, but I know enough about Cliff that that fits in his character.
Yeah, it's almost a shame that his catchphrase from the show can't be put in the regular comics.
What's his catchphrase?
What the F?
Oh, okay.
He says it like once per episode at least.
Gotcha.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But yeah, so just it's very good. I've seen people being like, this is just like a typical superhero book. And I'm like, yeah, it's a typical superhero book. This is cool.
It is, and which is why I say it's fine. Like, I don't. That's why I'm not in love with it.
Well, no, when I say that, I've been seeing people like be on it, like, oh, there's way more interesting things, and like that's how you want to spend your money. Great. However, this is for me, just personally, this is what I look for in a comic. So I'm very happy.
I think I fall probably into that other camp without trying to diminish this book, because I think it's well crafted. I think the art and color are phenomenal. The writing, and it's fine. It's doing what it's meant to be doing, what it's setting out to do. It is achieving. But for me, there are definitely more interesting things I could be reading and spending my money on. But it is fine. Like, it's definitely not a bad book. I appreciate we finally get a Batman Superman book that's not doing the dual narration, because I'm kind of sick of that. But again, that maybe makes it feel more like a typical comic as opposed to here's a Batman Superman, world's finest comic.
I mean, you keep saying typical comic, but here's the thing: I don't think there's any good examples of a comic like this right now, other than this.
No, and that's my thing too. Like, this is an unabashed DC comic.
To me, this is fulfilling something that isn't being fulfilled with DC right now.
This feels to me in a similar vibe to what I was feeling when I was trying, like, the Flash book, for example, where that's fine. It's a perfectly readable Flash book. I got other things I'd rather be reading.
I think this is better than that. I think this is a step above that in craft.
Me too.
I mean, you guys have read more than that than me, but like from the vibes I've read of that, this fits into a similar hole for me in that. Like, it's fine. It's perfectly decent, and if it comes out on quiet weeks, I'll keep reading it. But I'll be honest, I don't have a lot to really say about it, as opposed to some of the other stuff we talk about, where I've got like all these, I've got takes. I don't have hot takes on this book, although apparently this is a hot take. But
you don't have hot takes. You have nitpicks and complaints. You whine.
I have hot takes.
There's whining.
Spicy hot takes.
Why do you have to have a hot? Wait, but why do you have to have a hot take for every book?
I don't, but just in terms of when we're here discussing books, I don't have like anything really interesting to add about the book. Like, it's just a solid issue.
Does Carl think he has interesting things to say any of the time? Because I'm really struggling.
Oh, I will give you interesting things.
These spicy hot takes,
don't test me.
More like ice cold. Do you know what Connor's takes are? They're fridged. He's got fridge takes.
That was terrible. Well, I was reaching for it, and you know it.
I mean, it was a reach, but you know what? There's a little bit of offset because it's referencing a previous joke in the podcast, and running jokes are worth something. So,
all right,
I'll give myself points for effort.
You're giving yourself points for effort.
I'll give myself as many points as I want.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Do you know how many points you have? You have 0. You have no points. I give you no points.
What if I give myself points?
Your points aren't worth shit. They're not my points.
Hey, this isn't about the exchange value of points.
Hey, Connor, I give you 500 points.
See? There you go. Thank you, Matt.
That's points.
I got loads of points.
Matt just made it clear that he's the yen of points, and that it sounds like a lot, but it's not really.
Fine, you have 2,500 points.
Still nothing.
That's enough to buy a movie. I saw one of my Twitter friends lives in Japan, and they just bought No Way Home digitally, and it was like 2,500 yen. So what is that, like $20? You have.
I don't know what.
Yeah, that's enough. 2,500 points is good.
It's loads. Yeah.
Well, when I finally give Connor a point, it'll be equal to however many points Matt's giving you at that point, and we'll see what the exchange rate is.
Have we just established our own internal currency? Because
we have.
that feels weird. Multiple currencies, in fact.
And it still makes more sense than the Harry Potter currency.
Yeah, Peter Penny's, Matt.
I mean,
some.
The Harry Potter currency is basically just the old British currency.
Is it?
Which is more or less, yeah.
Oh, man.
With your shillings and your farthings and your pennies and your pounds. It was all bullshit. Which is why we simplified it and went decimalized. Thank God, because that was a mess.
Yeah, I don't understand old currency. I don't
No, I don't either. I just don't like it.
It always stuck out to me that everything just seemed arbitrary.
I know for values. One of them, it's 17 of like something to a shilling or whatever.
Yeah, that's just
why 17?
Just round it.
Who came up with that?
Stupid.
All right, are we rating?
We should, but Harry Potter sucks. Just to get that out of the way before we move on. So yes, Matt, what are you giving Batman Superman World's Finest issue 1?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Okay, Connor.
I'll give it a 7.
I am happy to give this an 8 as well, I think. So, there we go. Nice. All right. So, next up, we have Justice League 74.
Maybe the previous 6 issues as well.
Yes.
So, Matt, for some reason, caught up in Justice League for the final...
Because I bought them.
Because he hates himself.
For the failed Bendis issue, so here we go.
We all know my completionist tendencies, and I couldn't have a big gap in between, 68 and 75. So I've been getting these in the annual, which the annual might be the reason I read the first issue of Justice League vs. Superheroes, or Legion of Superheroes. So, but I'm not going to talk about that. So where I last left off with Justice League was the Royal Flush Gang had stolen the Fortress of Solitude. That was a 2-issue arc I don't understand. I don't get what the point was outside to show that Leviathan had reached out to the Royal Flush Gang to be like, you guys are so much better than that, and inspires them to do more. So they try to steal the Fortress of Solitude, so then they can use the technology in there to harness an asteroid that's flying close to Earth that would, that has more value than anything on Earth combined. But of course, because it's the Royal Flush Gang, they completely muck it up. The fortress goes haywire, and the Justice League has to get together to, put all the genies back in the bottle. And it was all very superfluous. Don't get what that was going for. But the final 4 issues, they got rid of the backup for Justice League Dark, and it became a co-book where they're guest starring. And y'all remember Xanadoth from Superman or Action Comics?
No.
Okay.
Really.
I didn't read it, so I'm assuming this was in the Bendis run.
Yeah, so in the Bendis run, Bendis created the oldest Lord of Chaos, Xanadoth. And it possessed the DEO agent at the end.
I think I remember this now. This is the... Yeah, I remember this arc. Yeah, I remember it.
So as I'm looking at these Justice League covers, I'm wondering, hey, I wonder if this has anything to do with that weird thing that Bendis did. Sure enough. Xanadoth shows up and wants a better vessel than the DEO agent. So it appears to Black Adam and possesses him. So it becomes the Justice League and the Justice League Dark trying to harness this Black Adam. For some reason, Xanadoth needs Madame Xanadu, which I don't get, and Bendis never really explains.
It's because their names sound similar.
And that's the only reason. And there's some connection that he teases. He does write a pretty good demon with the rhymes. The rhymes tend to be pretty fun throughout. But this is also after Khalid has become Dr. Fate again in the pages of Justice League Dark, after having a lot of he's super timid about it, doesn't know if he can do it without Naboo. But don't worry, because Naboo comes back. They're able to summon him through Constantine and Swamp Thing and Zatanna, which I love Zatanna as a character, but basically her ability just to say things backward and have it work out, I think sometimes is a little bit overpowered in the wrong hands. I felt when Ram V was doing it in Justice League Dark, there were still limits to it, but when Bendis does it, there's none, you know. Which at that point, why do we need Constantine and Swamp Thing to back her up in summoning Naboo, right? So Naboo decides he doesn't want to play because we banish Xanadoth. If Xanadoth's back, we can't do this. Until they see Naomi, where here's where my big kick comes in. Now she is special prophesized child, in that Naboo takes her and off to wherever realm he comes from, this realm of light, because of how powerful she is. And he doesn't recognize, he's never seen this power before, and takes off with her, which, you know, that's where this issue kicks off, is that Black Adam Xanadoth has taken Madame Xanadu and is in this all dark realm, and Naboo has taken Naomi and is in this all white realm. So there's many different artists, and each of those artists are doing their own thing. And it at least looks good. Lou Pacino's doing the main Justice League, where they're on Earth and not in these mystic realms. And it comes to find out that the key to beating Xanadoth is Naomi, because of the way she harnesses power, and that Naboo reveals that that Naomi, how Superman's power is weak to magic, that same ability, that same kind of relationship is what makes Naomi so powerful. And that the only reason that Naboo thought they had a chance in, you know, to come back to go with the helm of fate is to, you know, because of Naomi. And there's some fun Constantine stuff where Constantine basically has to try to talk Xanadoth down while they're, you know, waiting for Naboo, you know, to come back with Naomi, and basically pointing out to Xanadoth, like, hey, you're the original Lord of Chaos, right? But if there's everything is chaos, doesn't that make it the same as order? And don't you need order in order for chaos to thrive? Right? And it's this really fun, you know, Constantine moment before Xanadoth's like, no, human, you're talking nonsense. You don't understand things the way he's like, yeah, you know, I know, but I pretend enough. And that gives them enough time to do what they need to do. Yeah, it's Bendis's time's done. So, you know, they beat Xanadoth. It wrecks Black Adam's home in Kahndaq, and they offer to help clean it up. He goes, no, this is my mess. So I'm almost wondering if this is seeding the events of what's going on in Black Adam, whatever's going to happen there, or maybe seeded through here, because they also talk about Hippolyta having to go home to Themyscira for the trial of the Amazons. They also address in the annual, which was done by Bendis and Sanford Green. The art is really good in that one, but that deals with Diana coming back, and also with some timey-wimey stuff that ends up going to Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes. But just in that one, they bring up the Trial of the Amazons too. So it's clear that Bendis wasn't alone on his little island. He was still having to weave stuff in and out. But yeah, so I say I'm happy that this is over, and now we're getting to the whole death of the Justice League. Because again, it just felt like Bendis was using each of these series to tell an overall narrative, which I guess isn't good, because I give Taylor credit for that in other books, right? Like,
there's nothing wrong with it in theory. It's just it can be overpowering. And one of the problems is that a lot of the concepts that he brings back, like, because he brought that alien back from Superman, and that was where I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not reading this character again. I hated that character.
There's a line of doing it where I think when Taylor does it, it doesn't feel like the imported element takes over the book. Whereas everything about this is like, Naomi was the key to everything. I'm like, well, why is this a Justice League?
And I love Naomi as a character. Her original solo and her running around with Young Justice, I felt was a lot of good character development. Turning her into the special child archetype, but we don't know why, you know? And I'm sure Naomi season 2 will address some of it, but it just feels like this is my new character that I'm gonna make super cool. Like, I don't know. She doesn't have much character development through these. Like, she's the only reason she gets to stay on the Justice League now is because she's super powerful. And I always think that that's a lazy reason. It's not like Batman going like, well, we need to understand your power more, so we're going to keep you close, which is what we had early on when she was popping up in Action Comics and Young Justice and all that stuff. But here for Naboo to do it, which I always remember Connor, who's much more of the magical realm of DC person I go to, him going like, well, yeah, Naboo's always just playing his own side, right? So for him to see Naomi and do that, I thought that was the best use of it, But now for the Justice League, just to keep her around because of that, I don't know, man. It just feels like Bendis doing Bendis things. And like when Taylor does it, it feels like he's just continuing themes, right? Kind of like in Superman is continuing the theme of how power and money can corrupt, right? That was his thread from Suicide Squad. And
there's a difference between Taylor involving Nightwing into the Superman book with the truth, because that ties in thematically with Dick Grayson trying to use his money for a better purpose.
Right.
So it has that kind of that character interaction that has that thematic crossover, where this is just like, hey, I like Naomi. Let's put Naomi in everything.
Yeah. Well, it's like I created Naomi and I want Naomi to be a big deal, and it just feels shallow. Like when you can see the DNA, not even trying to hide it. It's unfortunate. And like
all stories, if essentially boil down to these core beats, you can boil every story down to that. But it's a case of when you're consuming the story, do you get caught up with it and forget that, or do you just see the pieces?
And people agree here, because I'm gonna make a wrestling analogy. It's like when like WWE would push somebody, and you could just know they were pushing him because this is their plan, yet the crowd pushes back, but they just keep doing it because that's what they want to do. It kind of ruins it, because it feels like the story doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like it's coming together.
It just comes down to earning
a cog in the wheel.
It comes down to earning beats and earning characters' places in certain situations, and if it feels like they're just going back to the same well constantly, I think that's part of the problem as well. Is like, I think you can make a character join a team book and have them be really important later on, but if you start off with, they're the most important person here, and the second arc is about them being the most important person there, and the third arc is about the most important person there, it just starts to feel repetitive and like you're really overdoing it. You're overselling them on us.
Yeah, like the 2-part Royal Flush Gang story was kind of a nice change of pace, because it wasn't about her at all. It was about, how Leviathan had corrupted these people and made them seem more important than they are, and they end up causing more issues for the Justice League than them not listening to Leviathan, right? Because before they had listened to him and tried to tap their potential, they were just doing small time type stuff. But when unlocked, they created this big mess, which was nice, because Naomi was there and she was helping rein everything in, but it wasn't like, oh my God, you're the most important piece of the DC universe right now. But yeah, again, I only bought these because I didn't want a gap. And don't be like me, guys. Don't do that. Learn to break that. But if I guess, do you want me to rate Justice League?
I mean, you might as well.
74. I'll give it a 6.5. And also, Black Adam never carries these weapons. That covers a lie. That's another reason that I was like, oh man, he's using the nth metal mace and Aquaman's trident to fight Xanadoth. No.
That's the cover for this issue.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's go over that.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, Batman the Night issue 3, Chip Zdarsky and Carmine Giandomenico on the art. This is obviously to set up the serial killer stuff a bit last issue, but this issue starts off with the serial killer being like one of the key narrators, and like sort of his inner monologue as the police are looking through his mansion because there's been this robbery, but he's just nervous that they're going to see something that reveals who he is. He's like, it's not time yet. It's not time for them to know these things about me, my secrets, blah blah blah. And I was like, man, this book like feels so different every issue, and maybe that's a good thing, but it does feel like it's doing these wildly different things each issue.
It feels fresh every time, and I think that is intentional. The idea being that Bruce is always learning new skills, right, each time. He's taking a different approach and learning a different skill set for his arsenal of being Batman. So each issue feels a bit different because of that.
Yeah, and so in the first one, right, it was a psychological kind of thing. It's Hugo Strange, right? And then the second one, now we've had him with the cat burglar, and then this one put the spotlight on
the detective.
God, why am I drawing a blank?
Ducard.
Ducard, thank you. I kept wanting to call him Liam Neeson's, and that's not Liam Neeson's. But yeah, Ducard. So I do like how Zdarsky's shifting it, but it's seemingly the same story. At least this was more of a pickup from issue 2 than issue 2 was issue 1.
This was a very good issue with a phenomenal final page.
This was a very different issue in the sense that there was actually a threat where this serial killer was going to murder more people, and they had something to stop. And it went out of its way to show Bruce making mistakes, Bruce getting Ducard shot for a start because he couldn't keep his cool and not keep staring at the bad guy that they were trying to lure in. And ultimately, this idea that Bruce, regardless of his mistakes, when he realizes who the victim is, he runs off to go and help. He has to go and try and save them, and he ultimately does. His presence interfering in what the killer's doing does save some of this guy's family. The main target, the husband, was already dead. Not much to do for him, but there were still family members to save. So it kind of shows you his drive. It points out that he does have this anger and does his jump. He'll jump at the violence a bit, and the cat burglar kind of points this out and says, I kind of miss that fire you have, but at the same time, I also don't want this angst that goes with it.
There's also the tying it into being an orphan, which is a big part of the serial killer's motive, but also, he's just made the kids of the family. He's murdered an orphan, or is trying to anyway. I think the mum still survives by the end. But again, this idea that this is more personal for Bruce than it normally is.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, he finds out that Ducard was hired by Alfred to track him down. But he rightly predicts that Alfred only paid him to find him, not to bring him in, not to kidnap him and drag him back home. And it does lead to a moment where, after everything goes down, Bruce calls Alfred and says,
"Just leaves a voicemail."
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have told you before I left. I love you, Alfred. I need to figure some stuff out. And that final page is Alfred listening to this message over and over again as he cries. It's like, oh man, what are you doing to me here, Zdarsky?
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So it still kind of falls into this weird place where I'm like, this book is this oddity of it's kind of an origin. It's fitting around, before year one stuff.
Maybe this is just me, but I think it's more interesting now that Zdarsky's taking on the main Bat book. Because if this is, even if this isn't canon, if this is, okay, Zdarsky's kind of maybe going to pull from some of this, and this is kind of the blueprint for his Bruce in some ways. Yeah. Okay, maybe he'll take elements from this, even if not literal, just this is canon, but just maybe some characters here.
It wouldn't surprise me if this blonde cat burglar shows up in this Bat book.
This feels like a backdoor pilot. Right?
It does, yeah.
This might not be the perfect, what the show would become, but you can see the pieces there.
I will say, his handling of the Dick and Bruce, the Bruce and Alfred relationship in this issue does fill me with, not that I was worried in any way, but this gives me a lot of hope for how he's going to handle some of the Bruce relationships going forward in his Batman book.
He clearly gets it. And it's the same way we talk about, Tom Taylor getting some of these relationships. Right. This fits in exactly like that.
Well,
this fits in alongside those issues.
I mean, Zdarsky and the Bruce and Jason relationship in that Teardrops through Urban Legends, I thought was really well too. So, So no, I'm excited, and also I like that he's keeping the theme of each of these pieces is a new piece of armor for Bruce. Each of these people that he works with. Yeah, and that's what's going to make
that suit of armor was a big piece of the first issue.
Yeah, the metaphorical suit of armor that he's building by gaining all these skills and experiences. Yeah,
knowledge. And then we saw in the solicits, right? I don't know if you read the solicit box, but he's going to learn the art of hunting from someone far up north, and so so it seems to be we're going to do more globetrotting, right? Which is kind of what I expected from the first issue. So
yeah, I think this was kind of essentially a little two-parter, right, in Paris. And we might have a third part now with Ducard, but that might not be in Paris.
Yeah,
right?
that might be more journeying. Maybe he may follow Ducard to wherever his next mission or his next job is. Yeah.
Which I always love this part of Bruce's journey is, like I always go back to that Tynan story in the backup of him learning to fight in the pit and how nobody would fight him anymore. Like I love the journey of Bruce Wayne.
Maybe this is clearly what this book is more actually supposed to be, is that it's not it's specifically the Bruce on his travels before he comes back to Gotham. That's what this book is ultimately.
Yeah.
So maybe we end with him making the choice to come home, and then if you want to link that to,
I think the final few pages are him reuniting with Alfred.
If you want to link that to year one and say, oh yeah, you can sort of like slot that into your loose continuity by putting it before year one, then you can.
It's year 0.5.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never recommend someone read it before they read year one. I would say, read basic Batman stuff first, then go back and fill this in.
But I can see this. Yeah. While obviously we're saying right now it's not canon. So far, I don't think there's really anything that says it couldn't be. Not really. Maybe you have to fudge some of the details here or there, but the general idea.
That's just comics in general, though.
Yeah, but he's also hitting on the Batman tropes that we know, like again, Ducard. And I'm sure we're going to see him run into Ra's at one point.
This definitely feels like one of those books in the same vein as The Killing Joke, where it maybe wasn't intended to be canon, but hey, if writers want to just use this as like, they're going to consider this as part of their origin, why not?
Yeah. So, but no, I really enjoy it. And the whole serial killer aspect on this one, I thought I liked that because it was Ducard putting the pieces together and then saying how the cops were going to mess it up. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's very Batman, right? That's like, oh, they missed a key piece of the evidence that, they didn't interpret.
And that was the other part of this that we've not really mentioned yet, is the idea of Bruce learning that he has to kind of think like the criminals do, and has to like, because he keeps being like impressed by Ducard, because Ducard's like, oh, the killer will do this next, and he's like, how do you know? How like, he's like, well, you have to get in their heads. So that's kind of where he goes, where he recognizes in the photos that this killer he's got a main target. He's got someone that he's building up to as his finale, as the person, because the killer's going to have to go on the run soon because they're getting too close to him, so he knows he has to strike his final victim soon.
And it's not who he claims it's going to be. It's like, no, it's more personal than that. And I think it's interesting how it's such a logical extension for Bruce of what he was last time, where, hey, if he wants to be the best at catching the criminals, he has to be a bit of a criminal, which is why he joined up with the cat burglar, right, to learn from them because they're the best at it. This is kind of an extension of that, whereas if he wants to catch them, he has to learn to think like them and understand them.
Yeah, so that's what leads him to the final victim, where he saves the rest of the family and gives us kind of the happy ending.
Giandomenico's art is fantastic, and the first half is solid, really moody, but the second half where he gets into the action, Bruce jumping through the windows and all the close-ups on the eye of the dead body, just stunning stuff.
Yeah, so very good stuff. I'd probably say it's my favorite of the 3 issues so far as well.
That's fair.
I think.
Yeah. Because I have like I've gone. Issue 2 really turned me around. That first issue I thought was kind of rough because it just felt like it was going to be doing Batman tropes. Then we got to Paris and it didn't do that at all. And now it feels like it's becoming what I wanted it to be. So, but yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
I even know what I wanted it to be. I went into this not having a clue what this was going to be, and then the first issue was a bit weird and non-conventional.
Well, we knew it was going to be kind of the travels of Bruce, right? Like that's kind of what the solicit was.
Yeah, I think it's settled into something a bit more traditional as it's gone on, I guess. But not in a bad way.
Because when we finished that first issue, I didn't know if we were going to skip ahead to 5 years into Batman, or if it was going to be whatever. It was kind of up in the air at that point. Whereas now it's like, oh no, it feels like it's settling into, this is the travels of Bruce, as he's learning before he comes back. I
understand what the book is now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, all right, Matt, what you giving Batman the Night issue 3?
I'm giving this 8.5.
All right, Connor?
I'll give it a solid 8, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with the solid 8. So there you go. Which will take us on to Refrigerator Full of Heads, issue 5. Real Yours writing with Tom Fowler on the art. Matt is sticking to this.
Oh boy. this one gets into some Carpenterian body horror, like The Thing levels.
I was going to say, I've never heard Carpenterian body horror before.
Yeah, because it's usually Cronenberg, right? When you throw body horror. But so now this picks up with them wheeling out the remains of the old police chief of Clausen. And the story kind of comes apart here a little bit, and it really leans into the pulpiness of it, where, he survived because of the axe, and he fell into the water, and he survived because of the magic of the axe, but the water filled up his lungs, but he couldn't die. And that's when he realized that the magic of the axe, is what kept him alive. And so you find out that he put he used that biker gang to assemble all these pieces because of the power of the axe and how powerful they could be in the hands of one person, which I think is a story flaw, right? Because we had this whole collection that we saw in the first series that he was putting together. And I just feel like if this was the same writer, if this was Hill, I feel like those would have fit together a little bit more nicely, But he's telling June all of this, and that she's like, well, that's not possible. They found your body. And, I was like, yeah, half of it, but the other half was I plotted and I waited and I knew I was going to get my revenge. And then this is intercut with our main character from the Justice or the Defense Department, who's also on these trails, talking to all of the refrigerators in the head, and they're telling her, the same type of stuff. But so the main biker lady, Erica Valkyrie, she decides that she's going to turn on the police chief because he said they could have Brody Island, but she's like, well, you're still just kind of a snup, and now I have all these weapons. And she doesn't count on him putting on the serpent's belt, which is where the body horror kicks in, to where it turns him into a giant snake. And he just starts, smothering people and cutting them in half and constantly transforming into more grotesque snake form. And there's a shootout with the bikers and him. There's a real fun panel where he takes one of their guns because he still has his, what's left of him, like the cross-cut body. So he still has an arm coming out of the snake body, and he just starts shooting up all of the bikers, which allows June to escape. So Erica grabs one of the magical swords, but he ends up like constricting her, and she ends up dropping the sword. And before he leaves to go hunt June down. And this is where it gets super grotesque because he's just all snake and body parts sticking out of different pieces of him. And he eventually grabs her, but our main character it's Erica Fury, not Valkyrie. I mixed up my Nordic mythology. But so she comes in, and Valkyrie, I did it again. Fury is still alive, right? But she's in such a bad state because she's all crushed. She's like, well, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't have to. So our main girl takes the axe and lops off her head, which gives her the ability to speak because of the undying nature of it, to where she says, I'm still not going to talk to you. This is, you can, F off. So she takes the sword that absorbs memories and stabs it through Erica's head to find out everything that had happened. So it goes to a page where it says, a little later across the island, you can see that the Defense Department lady has made, some, changes around her house and covered up some of these dead bodies from where she was staying. And she has taken the shark's head from the garage and a bunch of other stuff and lashed it to the front of a car. as she goes to hunt down Snake Clausen with the enchanted axe. So outside of some weird storytelling plot points, you can tell if this was, not just based off of the story, if this was the original writer, I think would have been a little bit cleaner. But man, the art here by Tom Fowler really gets into this horror-y, nasty aspect that I loved, and it gets super grisly and nasty, and it's still just a whole lot of fun. It's definitely a B movie version of what was the first one, Bucket Full of Heads. So yeah. Pete, I would get caught up because it is fun if you have time.
I mean, there's only one issue left, right?
Yeah. So, but it is a whole lot of fun. But again, it is very much a B movie, kind of, and it did feel like an 80s gross out at points.
I mean, this week would have been a good week for her if I wasn't so goddamn busy doing all this stuff, because there wasn't a lot of comics.
Yeah.
But
yeah, or even when it comes out in trade or whatever, and there's
I definitely want to read it because I like those first two issues quite a bit.
So, but I'll give this one a 7.5. I'm eager to see where it goes. But yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that'll take us out of the part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and then rank our top 5 books, or maybe top 4 if that's all you read, because it was a quiet week. So we'll start off with panel / moment. Matt, what do you have?
I mean, can I go with Poison Ivy as John?
Yeah, be a self-parody. Why not? I mean, there's no one to judge you.
I think the reason he's questioning that is because he chose that when it was in the Detective Comics preview.
Yeah. So
that exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but it'll be from World's Finest though. I'll pick where Robotman says, "Hey, that's my thing," because that's really when I could feel the tone of the book really come into its own. And yeah.
All right, Connor.
The final couple of pages of panels of Batman the Night with Alfred just listen to the message.
Yeah, that is fair.
Mm-hmm.
A few things I could pick here, but I'll go with the fridge panel.
That's pretty good.
I'll go with the fridge me to get to. It's really funny to me.
That's pretty good.
Especially because she's in like the van's, it's like a freezer van. So
yeah,
it's a joke that works on multiple levels. It's great. So that's my pick. Covers. I'll dive in here first. I will say I really like the regular Nightwing cover with Wally on there with the lightning bolt. It's a really nice, simple design. I love the main detective cover with Scarecrow's mask. All that really pretty. But I'm going to be a self-parody and pick the Art Germ variant for Batman, Superman, World's Finest, which is Supergirl and Stephanie Brown back to back.
That's very good.
That's my pick. Nothing else was touching it. There was no way.
It feels like it could have been a recycled cover from the Frankie Miller Batgirl run.
It does.
I don't think it is, but it feels like it could have just been a cover.
It feels like it could be.
Oh my God, what's that one beneath it? Not beneath it directly, but oof.
What is this? The one where it's like Batgirl and Supergirl and the hats?
Who's that? This was a good idea.
And it's Soup and Bay on their chests. Yep. I noticed that.
It's meant to be sup, not soup.
Also, there's a Dan Moore Jerry Seinfeld variant that I was not aware of until now, and that is hilarious.
Wait, which one is the Seinfeld one?
On the very bottom of the middle column, it's Seinfeld and the Batmobile getting coffee cardstock variant. That is hilarious.
I do appreciate the dual pairing of the slap from each angle. Like one calling it Batman Superman, the other one calling it Superman Batman.
That's pretty funny. But yes, Stephanie Brown and Supergirl.
I'm shocked.
Cover. That's my pick.
It is very good, actually, to be fair.
All right, Connor, what's yours?
It could have been that, but just for the sake of picking something different, because it is very good, I'll go with the Federici variant for Batman the Night with young Bruce and then all the bat shadows closing in on him. That's kind of demonic. I guess it's just a great image.
All right, Matt.
Nightwing with Wally and the lightning bolt. It just looks so good.
Yeah, that's really nice. All right, art of the week, Connor, go.
Oh shit, I didn't think about that.
Anytime I have mine.
No, I don't think. I'm just looking at what I read. It's Batman Superman, and it's Dan Mora.
It's world's finest.
Yeah, Matt.
Stop calling it Batman Superman. It's world's finest.
Well, it says Batman Superman, world's finest.
Yeah, the full title.
Mine says Superman Batman, world's finest. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. No, it's world's finest.
Yeah, I'm probably agreeing with that. World's finest as well for me. So it's just gorgeous through and through. Mm-hmm. All right, ranking the books, Matt. Off you go.
All right, so number 1's going to be world's finest. Nightwing. 2 is world's finest. 3 is Batman the Knight. 4 is what I give them? Yep, Refrigerator Full of Heads, and 5 would be Justice League.
Wait, you like Justice League more than Detective?
Oh, I forgot Detective. Yeah, all right, hold on. Nightwing? Nightwing, World's Finest, The Knight, Tech, and Refrigerator Full of Heads.
There you go.
Got it.
All right, Connor?
Nightwing, The Knight, World's Finest, Tech, I guess.
I'm going with Nightwing at number 1. Number 2, we'll go with World's Finest, and then Detective, and then The Knight. It was a very even week. I gave it 8.5 and 3/8, so I've got a pretty close call as far as my my books are this week. So it's not a bad problem to be in, admittedly, but does make it a little bit tougher. So there you go. I will tell you what is coming next week from DC Comics. So next week we have Detective Comics 1058. Notably, it's the final part of the Tower. So
and more importantly, the final part of the House of Gotham backup.
That is also true. We also have Action Comics 1041, the other big special book right now. So that's exciting. We got Robin issue 12. We got the Human Target issue 6, which has been just downright gobsmackingly amazing.
Look at that cover.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a really shit character on the cover, but I'm sure it'll still be good.
Bruce is not there. That's Guy Gardner.
Oh, I knew who it was, man. I knew.
I think he mixed him up with Kyle.
Well, see, I was going for a Justice League International member, Connor.
I was just going. It's Kyle without the crab mask, and that's all it was.
Well, Kyle without the crab mask makes him automatically better.
It does make him better, but not better than Guy.
No. No
crab mask or no crab mask, Kyle is better than Guy. But also next week is Harley Quinn issue 13, Teen Titans Academy issue 13, Task Force Z issue 6, Deathstroke Inc. issue 7, Rogues issue 1. Very looking forward to trying that out. Should be good. And then we got Trial of the Amazons Wonder Girl issue 1, so part of that crossover. And then Aquaman Green Arrow Deep Target issue 6, which I think is the last issue of that one.
Yep.
So there you go. That's what's coming out next week. So some pretty big books. I'm looking forward to trying Rogues.
Sure. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's 8 books.
I have 7.
I meant just between us all.
Yeah, I know. Because you have Harley.
Yeah.
It also bums me out that Starfire is so prominent on that cover of Academy, and I think that's Cheetah as well. And I'm not reading it.
It's Starfire, Cheetah, and Troy, isn't it?
Yep, and like you have 2 of my favorite characters, and I'm not reading, and it makes me. Oh no, that's not Troy. That's Superwoman of Earth 3.
Oh, is it? Okay, I am looking at just the small version.
Yep. Okay.
So, you've got the Bat and the Furious in your Task Force Z.
Uh-huh. Well, we all know that's the movie that Bruce was seeing when his parents were tragically taken from us.
Well, the timeline keeps moving. That if
sooner or later we're going to be there.
Honestly, saying that Bruce was 10 and lost his parents in 2001 when Fast and the Furious came out, isn't that ridiculous right now, timeline wise?
No.
Oh shit, it's not.
And says love of big muscle cars. Yeah.
That's where it explains so much.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. So I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers for the month. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Short, Bordeaux, Christopher Moy, David Brown, Al Treisman, and Alison M. Fordyce. They are our Patreon producers. Of course, you can support us over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month to help keep the podcast coming. And of course, at the $5 tier, you get early access to the show whenever it's ready on the Saturday. Usually late UK time, but if you're not in the UK, maybe it's a more reasonable time. You get the podcast before it goes out on the Sunday. So go have a look, see if you're interested. And of course, you can support us for free by liking, subscribing, dinging the bell for notifications on the YouTube channel. Or, of course, you can rate us 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. All those things do help. So please hit the buttons, rate the things, and also all sorts. Get us on the Twitter at DC Comics Podcast and share us using that. And, by all means, give us your thoughts on books and things and all that sort of stuff. But, yeah. That's basically that's the show. It's episode 297, which, I mean, I know we had solicits, but
hefty.
Well, actually, we had 6 books because Matt somehow read 2 more, but I only had 4 books, so it's weird to me that we hit 3 hours on this one.
Yeah, we had 12 books because
we chat a lot of bullshit.
Yes, we did. And I'm watching hockey right now, so if I'm it's 0-0.
All right,
but the Knights are barely together right now. They have an entire hospital wing of injuries. So
yes, I seem to recall something like they've lost 0 games or they've won 0 games in like 5 or something like that. Did you not say that on Twitter?
Yeah, they were 0-5 for the first time in their history, but they came back and they won against a cup contender. So who knows?
It was a good game.
It's So
yes,
but
I'm sure it was
playing the rival LA Kings.
I'm sure it was equally as boring as every other ice hockey game's ever been, but there you go. Hey, even if you liked him, Matt, that's still a statement you can technically agree with. Because if you don't think they're normally boring, and I say it's equally as boring as every other ice hockey game, as long as it's consistent to the other games, it's still true for you, even though...
that's true, but like I would agree with the statement of like football is boring or baseball is boring, but hockey's constant movement, man. I don't know. You could not like it. I don't know how you can find it boring though. Like
constant movement doesn't make something not boring.
For sports,
if you have no attention span.
Yeah.
Constant movement. That's like well, I'll just put fireworks in the background and that'll make this scene fun.
It's by definition, F1 is the best sport of all time.
See, I can watch F1, but I can't watch NASCAR, and NASCAR's constant movement too. But that's because they're just driving in an oval.
No, I think racing is the most boring thing to watch.
I don't mean that. I was extrapolating out from constant movement.
I know, but I'm saying this is the opposite. Where I think racing, any kind of racing, whether it's horses, cars, whatever, it's just so boring to watch because there's nothing to really look at other than just the finish line, and they might cross over.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying with hockey, I don't know.
Especially in person. Yeah. Imagine just sitting there and just they go past every once in a while a bunch of cars go past.
I worked a race one time and
I don't see the value in going to it, but
so anyway, shut this up so I can finish watching the Knights game.
What they need, I don't know if they do this shit, but they should put cameras on all the hoods of all the cars so that they can have proper, so it's like playing Gran Turismo. You actually get to see if someone's overtaking someone.
A long time ago, a stand-up comedian suggested that maybe they should put the beer cart in the center, and that the people that want beer have to cross during the race. And that would make it far more watchable.
You know what? I watched Days of Thunder the other day, and classic Hans Zimmer makes everything better, right? There's electric guitar, there's like tuned percussion going on. You got Robert Duvall yelling at Tom Cruise over the headset. Like
it's back in his still basically pop days.
Yeah, it's you can tell this was around the same time as Backdraft. It was around that era of like the more upbeat kind of Hans Zimmer. It was a nice little.
Before he turned into Epic Zimmer.
Yes, before he turned into Epic Zimmer. But
wait, did you say Paul Newman in?
No, Robert Duvall.
Days of Thunder.
Robert Duvall.
Oh, Robert Duvall. Okay.
Yeah.
So like Paul Newman was a racer though. That's why I thought. But they apparently occupy the same.
And also Nicole Kidman. In fact, this might be where Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman met.
That's where they met. No, 100%. And then they made Far and Away, and then got married, and then
everything went to shit.
Yeah.
Well, then they made Eyes Wide Shut with Stanley Kubrick, and they thought maybe there's something wrong with their marriage here.
I think there was problems before that. I think that just showed them to everybody. But no, my mom loved Far and Away. It's the only reason I have reference for that movie.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen it or know much about it.
I don't know what it's about, but I know it stars Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
Well, there you go.
Start.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll say this for Days of Thunder. Like Tony Scott's not like the most like nuanced director, but he knows how to make things look good. He's a very reliable like B-tier director.
Yeah, Domino was really, really not good, but it looked good.
I haven't seen that one, but he makes a lot of dependable, flashy. Just, you know, like, no one's ever going to rave about Unstoppable or, like,
he makes
Deja Vu.
Movie classic movies where if they're on in like an afternoon, you'll put it on for a couple minutes.
I can't wait till you've dragged out the fans now. We're going to get a riot in the comment section.
Why?
Just telling people that there's you're like, no one's going to be a fan of, you know, whatever movies you just listed off then. Can't remember which ones you chose, but you're like, no one's going to be, you know, be a fan of those.
Right.
Or they're coming for you now.
I mean, I enjoyed Unstoppable. I enjoyed Taking a Pill 1, 2, 3. I enjoyed, you know, the only one I really put my neck out for is Man on Fire. I think Man on Fire is really good, but yeah, by and large, he makes a lot of just entertaining stuff. Crimson Tide's borderline really good, but
now I have to pull up Tony Scott movies and see what my favorite one is.
It's Weekend Sword.
You know, and obviously rest in peace. It's sad how his life ended with the suicide, but you know, but yeah, yes, I swear I'll watch Last Duel in House of Gucci soon. I'm prepping myself for those lengthy.
Last Duel's good.
Ridley Scott movies.
I want to watch Last Duel, but every time I look at the runtime, I go, "Oh, it's not going anywhere."
It feels fresh because it's constantly recycling, like, you know, because of its premise, because it's adding new things. It doesn't feel as long as it is.
I see the period piece outfits, and I'm not in the mood. I'm just like, I keep putting it off.
I get it.
House of Gucci's another one that I'm just like I kind of just
really
to see the performances.
That didn't get nominated for everything, because there was a fear that was going to get nominated for everything.
Yeah. No,
I didn't.
Because they went with Power of the Dog instead.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse.
But that's another one. I don't care about fashion whatsoever, but I do like a lot of the actors in that.
It's just I guess the actors in it seems like it may be quite an upbeat, quirky kind of drama, but I don't know. I've heard good things. People have said it's good. So
update on the Tony Scott movies. Definitely True Romance and Top Gun are fighting for my favorite.
I'm not a big Top Gun guy. I think it's okay.
Top Gun.
Look, I haven't seen Top Gun with adult eyes. Last time I watched it was 15.
Honestly, so on Twitter, someone described Days of Thunder as just Top Gun with cars instead of planes. Yeah. But I think Days of Thunder was a better movie.
You're wrong.
No.
I get that I'm in the minority on that. People love Top Gun. I just I don't see it.
Well, look, here's the thing. Planes are better than cars.
True. I do love that. You're wrong.
Yes, but Joe, what Top Gun does it have? It doesn't have Michael Rooker as his rival, right? And there's a scene in Days of Thunder where they both end up in the hospital because they're in an accident, and when they're leaving the hospital in wheelchairs, they start racing each other in their wheelchairs, and it's Rooker amazing.
In the planes, and then best of both worlds.
Days of Thunder doesn't have Highway to the Danger Zone.
He's right, Kenny Loggins.
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer's better than Kenny Loggins.
Shut your mouth.
I will fight you on this.
I mean, why do we have to pick? We could like both.
I'm just Kenny Loggins demands Hans Zimmer's blood sacrifice.
Yes. Yes. Michael Rooker is better than Val Kilmer. Therefore, I win. So, like I say,
I don't know if I can argue with that one. Damn it.
Right. What I was gonna say is, I watched for the Atomic Cinema Experiment, the sci-fi podcast that I do with Tara. Go check it out. I watched Interstellar, and it's the first time I'd seen it since the theater this past week.
How'd it hold up?
Honestly, I liked it better this time than I did the first time because I knew where it was going.
Yeah.
It worked better for me. But it was just like the Hans Zimmer music in that. It's insanely good. Like it just.
I love it, but I'm glad that we didn't get a wave of everyone doing the organ.
No, because it wouldn't have worked. The reason why it works in that movie is because to the main character has faith in science and exploration. That is his religion. There's a reason why there's that connection there.
There's a really great thing about the speed of the music in that movie, where anytime it's on Earth, it's always 120 BPM because it splits it exactly evenly into the seconds. But when it starts playing with time and things start getting weird, that's when it starts speeding up and slowing down into different tempos.
That's really good. It held up for me. We're talking about Hans Zimmer, so it popped in my head. I think that, plus we're talking about Tony Scott, and then I mentioned Ridley Scott, so I thought of The Martian, and Matt Damon's like a surprise Martian in Interstellar, so it's not literally, but you know what I mean. Yep. My joke is that he just kept the outfit from Interstellar and walked straight onto the Martian set. I'm ready to go, Ridley. What do you want me?
Hey, Martian's a great movie as well.
It's a good movie. I enjoy The Martian. Yeah. So it's the last Ridley Scott movie I really liked.
Oh, well, mine would be The Last Duel because I've seen that.
I haven't seen that yet, but
yeah.
We'll get to it. All right, there you go. That's episode 297. Hopefully you enjoyed some tangent. Hey, this one was at the end at least. People could have just turned off by now.
There was a good movie section like a lot earlier, though, wasn't there?
There was. But there you go. And Ridley Scott's movies look like movies, unlike Marvel movies. So, yeah. So
he also directed Alien Covenant, so
he did. No, he's made some bad movies, but Ridley Scott's best movies are better than the Marvel movies. And actually, one of my favorite memes, just to wrap this up, is people keep sharing a photo of Martin Scorsese with just the quote, "This is cinema," whenever they see something good.
Yeah,
and there's something really funny about when it's used on something stupid, like. The Super Pets trailer came out and then someone just posts Martin Scorsese, this is cinema.
For the record, because I wasn't here last week, I'm more excited about that than any other DC movie that's been announced so far. I think it looks great.
So basically what me and Connor are saying is that meme is correct.
I mean, I may agree with that, honestly. I'm not including the Batman in this, just the rest that are coming out. Sure, I'll agree with it.
Looks great.
Had me at Dwayne The Rock Johnson's crypto.
Yeah, of course it did.
Of course that excited Matt.
Yeah, I worked on Page as well, I'm not gonna lie.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. Let us know what your thoughts on the filmography of Tony Scott and Ridley Scott are in the comments.
Or just tweet us.
Yeah, just tweet us. Yeah, tweet it. But that is the show, so thank you once again for watching or listening. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Like for Guy, comment for Kyle.